Second to last day. Tomorrow at this time, you'll be clocking out for the last time. After 40, how many, 42?
41.
41 years. Tomorrow's Miss Sandra's birthday, too, isn't
It
it?
is.
You better make down the woods lickety-split. You've been a teacher in our school district?
Mhm.
Band director? Assistant?
Band director.
What else?
Administrator up here, and whatever they asked me to do or told me to do at the high school and up here.
Well, we are definitely going to miss you. You are one of the most unique and talented and intelligent individuals I've ever had the pleasure and the honor of meeting. For me, I'm an old history guy. The historical perspective that you give for the last 40-plus years is really insightful, and we appreciate your dedication and your service to our children and our families here at Coffee County School System. I miss you.
It's very kind of you to say all those words. I know, again, back in 1985, I'm waxing historical now. My first year of teaching, I thought would never end. There was reasons for that. It's called your first year of teaching.
Right.
And you learn, and then as time went, it just goes by, and the next thing you know, of course, that line is "Oh, Jed's a millionaire," but that's from the Clampetts and Beverly Hillbillies. But in this case, next thing you know, it's 41 years, and I just feel directed. God's given me hints saying, I think it's time for you to go ahead and retire so that someone else can step up and enjoy working here.
Any former students?
Okay, let's see. Yep.
Mr. Parsley,
And of course, Krista's not here. She's a former student.
Ms. Cole,
Kelvin is a former student.
Mr. Shores.
There's some Brent.
Brent was it? Yep.
Yeah.
My
Just
daughter.
going. Yes, I'm going around. Chanel.
One semester.
One semester. That's all he can handle. No. Just going, and
I
again,
think you threw me out.
I don't, not physically, no.
No.
But there's several just scattered throughout. The spooky thing is I have former students who have already retired, and I'm thinking, oh, that just makes me old. That's all. But again, thank you for allowing me to work with you in this capacity. I know at times, I'm sure I've been very frustrating, but I know that's just normal when we have different opinions, or I'm trying to answer your questions and perhaps I don't quite have it all together in my mind, thinking, understanding what you're asking or what I go through and say, I don't know if I can answer that. But as I say, it's been a pleasure in working in the various roles I've had here in Coffee County Schools. God has been very gracious to me in being wherever He's placed me. In this case, for the last 41 years, it's been here in Manchester.
Well, thank you. You have anything you would like to share with Dr. Blessing before we send him across the field there?
I'd just like to say, thank you for your service, and I hope you enjoy your retirement.
Well,
It's
thank
well
you.
deserved.
That's
Thank
very
you,
kind.
Thank you.
Well, again, people
Enjoy your
ask me, what are your plans? Well, right now, I call it my bathrobe and bunny slippers phase. I do not have a plan like I'm going to do this. I have certain things in my mind that I might like to pursue. One thing is if I can try to get Sandra to go on a trip somewhere, that'll be grand. We'll just have to see how that'll go.
Well, thank you, Dr. Blessing. Thank you very much.
Well, thank
Thank
you
you.
too for all your kindness.
Dr. Blessing, you've been teaching my entire life, and as someone whose knees are cracking and I know how I feel, you deserve a vacation. Go do your thing. Thank you for all that you've done. That is something to be very proud of.
Whenever I told Brent that she was retiring, he said, "Is he still there?"
Yeah.
And I
that's-
said, "Yeah, Brent, he's still there." And he said, "Wow, that was in '98 when I was there." And I said, "Wow, that's so." Yeah,
Yeah, it's
he
been.
thought
been
a lot of you. He really did. Thank
Well,
you for everything that you've done.
That's very kind. I know I have students who stand out in my mind. You mean they can't help it. And then some stand out for really great reasons and others for less than stellar reasons.
Yeah.
But what I find is when I meet some former students, I don't sometimes recognize all of them because they've changed so much. But they say, "Oh, you look the same." I'm thinking, "No, I don't. No, I don't. You're being kind right now. I do not look the same. I appreciate the kind words, though."
Can I
Thank you,
say
Dr.
something
Lizzie.
really quick? I know I was a little late coming in, but I did just want to say thank you for everything that you've done. I don't know if you remember, but you had me in geometry when I was a junior.
And you loved it.
Well, I loved everything but the proofs.
That's the fun stuff.
But yeah, well, you did make it as fun as you could, so, and you did a great job. You know, I forgive you for dress coding me.
Well, you wouldn't
You're
be
the
the
only teacher
only
to ever
one
dress
who
code
got dress coded. So,
I didn't wear those leggings anymore.
no. Or chewing gum.
Yes,
know.
you were a
Back
stickler for
then,
that,
it tells you how old I am. That was the concern. Chewing gum and being on time, not getting that
Yeah.
department cut.
Things sure
I think ours, I think ours was Spanish, and I knew the wrong kind of Spanish. You were still out in the, portable.
He's enough called me.
Como se dice what?
I remember years ago Chanel had you for, I shouldn't say her name, she'll kill me, but had you for math, and they liked you, but they didn't like math probably. So I didn't know it, but they had taken my car that night. It was around Halloween. And I didn't know it till months later. They had rode your yard.
That's who
And
did
you
it.
came,
Yeah.
and you came out on the porch and
He's
was
still mad, Miss
running
Brady. You
after 'em.
shouldn't have said
And I think they drove Chastity down the street. She's trying to get in the car, and I'm thinking, oh, I didn't know that.
I heard that.
And so Chanel went to work with you, and she said it was really odd, working side by side with a teacher that she rode you. She thought the world of you, though.
Oh, well, that's, again, looking back, it's okay.
I don't think you were too happy that night.
Oh,
They
no.
I
say
don't
if you
blame
get
you.
your yard rolled a lot, it's because the kids really like it.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
an unusual expression of appreciation.
Consider it a compliment, really.
It is.
Well, again, thanks again. I'm going to depart and let y'all proceed with your work session.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay, I'm not sure we're supposed to call to order anything. This is an informal work session. It's not a voting meeting, so we'll just go ahead. There's no public comment, is there? Was anybody signed up for that? Okay, the first thing on our action items, Beth Yentz wanted to talk about posting of the Ten Commandments.
This is something that's being done in 5 or 6 states. Alabama, Kentucky, Louisiana, Texas. And Rutherford recently adopted that the Ten Commandments could be posted. The state of Tennessee has passed a bill that it's a choice for the teachers if they want to post them in their classrooms. They're legally allowed to now. Not only the Ten Commandments, but the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, as historic documents. And after looking at our school bus records, I think it might be a very good thing to post the Ten Commandments and these documents in our classrooms. And so I've given you just some reading material on what's being done around the country, just a little bit. You can, of course, Google it and see what else is being done. But I'd like to see us as a county open this up for our teachers, that if they want to, they can do it. So I just ask you to think about it and possibly consider a vote. in the
I
future.
know we can't vote on it tonight, but I'll make that, whenever, make that recommendation.
I mean,
Critical
this is historic documents. This is what, when you talk about, of course, we know that the Ten Commandments are going to be the most controversial of the documents. I don't want to pretend it's otherwise.
I guess I'm confused. I didn't know that there was a law against posting the Constitution in the Bill of Rights. Thought that was part of our schools anyway. Is that
Well,
correct?
it's considered part of historic
Right,
documents.
right. I mean, that's something
Yeah.
that we wouldn't have to vote on there, because that's already, just like, saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't think we'd have to vote to do that. Do the schools have the Constitution?
So, the.
Bill of Rights?
The Constitution of the United States, I feel confident would be displayed, in various social studies
Right.
classes. I feel like the Bill of Rights, I know when I was in the classroom, it's been years ago now, the Bill of Rights was posted. So yes, with respect
Yeah,
to the
it-
Constitution of the
right.
United States, yes, I think various parts of that.
And I just didn't want the public to get the misconception that we can't post the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, because that's part of our government. Anybody have any comments on that? On anything Beth's talking about? Feel free to talk to them.
I had a parent send me this today on, April the 23rd is whenever it passed. It passed 27 yeas to 5 nays, 27 to 5. Signed by the speaker on May the 5th, and the governor signed it May the 7th, and it goes into effect July the 1st. I've got mixed, I had mixed people send me different things about it, so I'll wait and see what everybody else says. But they sent me the law and what it reads, and but that's.
They're always citing the separation of church and state. Well, when that was brought into being, it wasn't brought into being to prevent, it was to keep the hands of the government out of the church, not the other way around. And unfortunately, over the years, we have misquoted that enough that we think that it's actually intended to keep the church out of our school systems. And that was not the original founders' intent.
Right.
They were coming out of England, where so much of what was done to control, using the government going into the church. And so when the Pilgrims first came over here, well, they sent them over because I was listening to an interesting television show about why they sent the original Pilgrims. For one reason, England wanted to get rid of them because they were very controversial, and they knew that they would stay and fight to stay because they wanted that freedom of religion. This is our foundation. When they made the Constitution, it was based on the scripture that says God is our lawgiver, God is our judge, God is our king. And so they made the three branches of government based off of that. So it's always been a part of the foundation of our nation. And we've gotten away from it, and I think it needs to come back. For the sake of our kids, these are simple things in the Ten Commandments. Don't kill, don't steal, don't sleep with your neighbor's wife. Simple things that a lot of our kids may not even be being taught because they're seeing so much the opposite on television. And so I think it would be a really good thing.
I'm not aware of anywhere in our policy that we're strictly forbidding that or flag policy and stuff of that nature is not really getting into, I mean, it went down to, I think, our military or federal flag, state flag, stuff like that, things of that nature. I don't know if this would fall into that same type thing, but, you know, I think for us, researching into our policies, see if we have anything against anything like this, I think state law kind of opens it up where it's the teacher's choice if they wanted to, and it's kind of out of our hands unless we do a policy to restrict it, if we don't already have one in place. I don't think we do, but I'm not gonna, so I don't know that.
What does our attorney say about it?
The proposed guidelines, excuse me, Mr. Hansard, the proposed guidelines, there's three. It must be displayed in a prominent place such as an entryway, a cafeteria, or a common area. There's a minimum font size, which is 26, making it easy for students to read, and the completeness. It can't be done partially. You can't just have 4 to 6 of them. They have to be all 10 of them. We do have another county adjoining to us, and this, Mr. Hansard, this hopefully answers your question. Rutherford County has already done those. I don't mind calling Jenny and seeing where, Dr. Sullivan, seeing where theirs are posted.
Are they allowed to post any other religious things other than the Ten Commandments?
Not to my knowledge.
There wasn't any controversy with other religions like the Jewish or the Catholics?
I don't
You
mind
know,
talking to him on that.
there are other people that live in this
Yes, ma'am.
country.
Warren County, I've talked to them, they haven't entertained it yet. DeKalb County hasn't entertained it yet. And just calling around trying to get some idea of what other counties are doing it, but they,
And, you know, I did have someone make a comment to me about it. I thought it was very interesting, because I think all of us think that everybody should follow the Ten Commandments, no matter what religion you are. But it says, remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. The Sabbath in the Old Testament was on Saturday. I mean, that's, a lot of people believe that the Old Testament is for history. The New Testament, the people that believe that the New Testament is now what you follow. So, I mean, it's deeper than we think. You know, we can vote to put that up there, but there's a lot deeper meaning to a lot of things that we maybe think that's okay. And as far as I'm concerned, I hope everybody follows the Ten Commandments. But I'm just thinking, as a devil's advocate, you might say, someone else may not feel that way, that all those things maybe aren't applicable today, except for that one, for sure, if you take it literally.
Well,
And I thought that was I never had looked at it that way before.
it's true that we as a Christian nation might view it a little bit differently. Of course, in our nation, as a Christian nation, Sunday's the Sabbath.
Exactly.
But
I mean, there's more to it than, it's just everybody's got their
But
own
those-
belief.
But let's get real. It will show the kids a historic basis on which this nation was founded, which is a big deal. If they don't understand what the root of this nation was, how can they understand the Constitution? How can they understand the Bill of Rights if they don't
And a lot of that is
understand?
by example, by administrators, by our state leaders, by our nation's leaders. So, it all goes together. You put the Ten Commandments up there, that's wonderful. But if you don't practice it, and if the leaders that these kids are looking up to aren't doing that, it's hard to say, okay, this is what you do. But it's there. Well, I'll say this, it would be there for them to see. But I'm just throwing out some things that we need to think about.
It's kind of like I may be just quickly jumping over a lot of the thinking on it. The state of Tennessee narrowed this down to the Ten Commandments. And they kind of took a lot of that thought away from you about other religions and other things and other items, and they just started talking about the Ten Commandments and approving it and this and that, and unless we have a policy against it in our policy book right now, I don't know that we can tell anyone if it goes into effect July 1st, we have to have a policy to stop that without approval, unless we do. So it's kind of like they took all that out
Yeah, but we don't
anyways
have
for
to,
us.
we wouldn't have to
If,
make that
if
decision.
that makes sense.
Right.
You know, we kind of don't have to make that. Now, if we wanted to get into that and really get into debating and all that good stuff, I guess we could, but I think the state's kind of laid this out, and they're the ones that took the brunt. If somebody did have a complaint against it.
Speaking to
Tennessee.
that,
Right,
Mr. Gilly,
right.
I did see here, it says local school boards and governing bodies of public charter schools have the autonomy to determine the exact size, appearance, and location of displays within their buildings.
But not that you can or can't.
A liability, yeah,
Well,
okay.
what would keep them from posting, say someone's a different religion teacher was, and they posted something else in the classroom?
State of Tennessee.
Can they
didn't
do that?
Allow that.
They'll allow that, just the Ten Commandments.
Sounds like the state of Tennessee's kind of took this out of,
Well, they're also saying these are historic documents,
and that's fine. I'm not saying
which we
anything.
want to be available and displayed.
I'm just thinking about the ensuing argument that's coming.
Well, yeah, there's always an argument.
Not that I don't agree with you 150%.
I mean, I think all of us,
But I'm just talking about the ensuing argument that's coming.
I think we have to be real careful with this because, I mean, we want all the kids, no matter what their background or belief system or culture or race, to feel included. And we want, as public school, we want to be inclusive to all races, all religions. I mean, I think if you do put them up on the wall, you may want to make sure we have enough space to put other religions' creed or belief system, because there's probably going to be somebody that is going to say, well, I want ours represented. I want our belief system up.
No.
Whether we believe it or not, whether it's how I was raised or not, like Miss Rita said, there are other belief systems and other religions everywhere, all around us, and we need to be inclusive of that and not make any certain group of kids feel excluded or ostracized, because even the Ten Commandments with other, in other parts of Christianity, like say, well, I won't name any specific ones, but the Ten Commandments are listed in a different order than maybe mine that I've studied are. So how do you choose which one, you know?
Well, if you're talking about different religions' documents, those are not historic documents for our nation. They don't go back to the founding of our nation. This does go back to the founding of our nation. And so we can rightly say, no, yours are not historic documents for this country. These are.
But as public schools, in a public school building, public school classrooms, I think you're opening up a lot of debate. And,
I don't think the state gave you much room, though. I think the way you said it, hit the nail right on the head. You've got all of these other things that, yes, I want to be inclusive, you want to be inclusive, everybody wants to be considerate and inclusive, but I think the state of Tennessee has said, we don't care if you want to be inclusive or not,
yeah,
post these.
right.
well, that's,
They did
That's the
give
way it sounds to me.
They did give the
July
option
1st.
for teachers to decide. What I want to know is that this school board, if a teacher decides they want to do that, we will back them. It is law. And I don't
Yeah.
want to suddenly go, oh, that teacher, we're going to reprimand them for posting this when it is state law. No, I
I
don't
think
think
part of
that-
that law still requires separation of many other, literally, I think the state of Tennessee has said the Ten Commandments of Christianity over anything,
That
and
is the
still keeping the
basis of our
separation
nation.
of church and state, except for this church in this state. So I think the state's kind of took that on It's almost one of them to where, okay, well, you know, we agreed that we'd like to see those. Everybody else, nope, you can't. State of Tennessee said you can't. Well, we'll sue them.
So really, there's not anything that we have to do. It's just the state's just said that a teacher can post the 10 Commandments if that's their desire.
If that's their desire.
But no other belief system
Right.
could be posted.
Right.
That's what I'm
That's on the
saying. I think
state
state,
Yeah.
yeah, I think
It's on the
state's
states,
kinda-
not on
I
us.
think it's good right myself,
Right.
but-
Now,
Right.
now, you can, like Mr. Hargrove just explained, we can come up with a policy of size of font, where in the classroom, all that good stuff. We just can't get
Well,
into the.
as long as it stops there, you know, you just, you can cross the line a lot in making the classroom a religious, class, and it's not meant to be that, you know, that's.
Well, this still
that's for
has-
example, and for people, for kids to see. But I know, growing up, I grew up, you know, where we had a verse read over the intercom, you know, out of the Bible, and that was just part of my growing up. But I do remember having one teacher specifically would ask the kids every Monday morning who all went to church. And I felt so sorry for those children that didn't, because they were kids. They couldn't help it if their parents didn't take them to church. And they always were like different. And that, I just don't want to get to that point. I just, that affected me as a child, because I could always raise my hand, but a lot of them couldn't. And, you know, you can overstep and really, that's not our purpose as a teacher as a public school teacher, to put our beliefs on the children. We be examples, good Christian examples, and have those on the wall. I mean, I think that's
When you're
good
using
example.
public tax dollars, I feel like we have to be inclusive of all belief systems. Not just the one that I grew up with or that you grew up with, but all belief systems, because it's
Well,
public
actually-
taxpayer funded.
We are not using, this will be up to the teachers, from what I understand, if they want to get
Well,
a copy to
ultimately-
put it
And
up.
the state of Tennessee has said, 10 Commandments, nothing else.
Yeah.
How do we do a policy to say, well, wait a minute, we want to back up and open the door and be more inclusive? And the state says, no, that's not what we passed in July, you know, for July the 1st.
So really, there's no policy.
How do we do that?
There's no policy for us to pass, is
Yeah.
there? I mean,
State
it's
law.
just
I mean,
there.
We would have to create it, you would have
Right,
to create it.
and, you
as
know,
a
I
board.
think you're opening up Pandora's box if we start trying to, you know, put our 2 cents worth in, because it's already done. And
Let
it's
law
good
kinda just
explanation.
handle
It's
itself.
Good explanation, Beth.
Well,
Let law
it's
kinda
like,
handle itself.
Right.
it's kind of like the cell phone policy, when they brought it up, we just had to be in a position to back it,
Yeah.
Right.
you know, and that's what I'm saying. We need to be in a position to back it if one of our teachers decides they want to do it.
I don't think there's a policy against it. If the teacher knows the law and posts them in their classroom and somebody brings something forth and this and that, I mean.
It would just
we
be the
really got
state.
no-
We would say,
Right.
sorry, we're just following state law. And, you know, we can't supersede state law. I mean, we can't come in here and make a policy. No, they can't put that on the wall. But, and,
Or CNN will be in here the next day, but they'll probably be in here tomorrow anyways. It don't matter. I mean, it's something-
I will contact.
Can't
our
make
neighboring-
nobody happy.
Our neighboring district and see where
Okay.
it was pushed back.
okay.
Have we gotten anything from our attorney, what their opinion on it is?
No.
Okay, thank you, Beth.
Thank you, Beth, for bringing that up.
My biggest thing is, I just think it could be a Pandora's box. I know that, you know, the law don't go into effect to July 1st, and I think July 1st or 2nd, there'll be multiple lawsuits against the state on it. And
Let them work that out.
I think it's a very slippery slope. You
Well,
know,
they
that
did
if you allow that, whether you want to classify them as, you know, if a person wants to classify them as a historical document, or whether they want to classify them as a religious document, either way, you know, I think moving forward, it would be wise to have a policy on the placement of them, and if it's classified as a historical document, then it needs to be in a in a history room. It don't need to be in a math room. It don't need to be in a English room. I mean, it needs to be, I think that would be wise to help curtail some of the backlash that will be coming down the road in the future.
Well, they did actually sue Texas, but the courts backed Texas up.
Yeah, but they're gonna pursue that to the,
That is a good point, Chris.
To the,
I hadn't thought of that. If it's
Supreme Court.
historical, if it's considered historical, that would be the,
Well,
the
but
place
that's not what the law, the way I understand it, that's not the way the law's saying it. The
No.
law's just saying you put the Ten Commandments, and to any teacher. So how do you do a
Right,
policy
right.
that says, well, we're gonna restrict it to
history
library
teacher,
or
right.
history section?
But what
and
he's
stuff like
saying
that?
is that it's
How
gonna
do we
open up
do that,
something.
that teacher can't turn around then, the math teacher, and say, wait a minute, law says I can have this. Now, who are you to tell me I can't by law?
Right.
So there's gonna be so much, but you're right on the first part.
yeah, I
Then
mean,
2
it's a
days
slippery
after,
slope. I
there's
mean,
gonna be
it's
so much.
and I guarantee you, first or second, there'll be multiple lawsuits filed against the state once it takes effect. I mean, the lawsuits are coming, so it's just gonna be, if
Well, they figure this will go to the Supreme Court before it's said and done, and it probably will. And so we definitely will have a clearer answer then.
well, that could be 10 years from now.
I know right down on the other end of the building, there's an office there. I lived in for 8 years. And I think from day one, I had the Ten Commandments hanging in there in the office. And I never had any comment or any adverse comment by anyone, to my knowledge, about that in 8 years. So I thought it's critically important that we post that in our instructions.
Beth,
And
what is the evidence that our country was founded on the Ten Commandments?
Just, if you'll do some research on it, there was a lot, even Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, when they couldn't get the Constitution, everybody kept arguing, and he made the statement, well, basically paraphrased, we haven't stopped and prayed.
Mhm.
And so when they prayed and called out to God to help them, then they were able to, it cleared right out and they were able to do it. The original people that came over were the Pilgrims. I mean, the Mayflower Compact, they made a covenant with God. When Robert Hunt came over, the first thing he did was make a covenant with God on this land. And so people were coming here because they wanted religious freedom. And that's what it was based upon. Now, over the years, yeah, we've seen that unfortunately deteriorate, but that was the original settlers of this nation.
And that's a good point, that they wanted religious freedom. That all religions wanted to be included, or,
In God we trust.
Well, in God we trust, and I'm glad you brought that up, Mr. Gilly. In God we trust has been mandated. They're in all our schools and have been for 3, 4, 5 years. I can't remember when that dates back, but we have to have that posted in our buildings.
in God we trust.
Mhm.
And you go back in time and do a study of the founding of this nation, whatever, you spend days and weeks on researching that. And the Constitution, the way that was implemented, and there's a provision in it that says Congress shall make no law regarding the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. And well, that's not been taught in our history courses and whatever over the years, but it's in there. And I'm glad it is.
One of the
Anyway.
things, and I wanted to wait till everybody else said something too, but since Mr. Cordell brought that up, I had a couple of people to call me, and it is, the Ten Commandments is put in government, or adult buildings, our courthouses. But one of the parents pointed out to me is that when you put it in a school, kids see it, and one of the parents, and it was a good point, and Beth brought this up a while ago, one of the commandments is, thou shalt not commit adultery. Well, if a kid asks a teacher what adultery is, what, do we want, she wanted to have the right to tell her kids at home what adultery is, or in a Sunday school, or a youth group, or somewhere in church, versus their kids seeing something on a wall and then asking what these are, or what's covenant of a neighbor. And then you're getting somebody else teaching stuff that they may not know. And that opens up a whole nother can of stuff, and I've had people that was for it, like Mr. Cordell just said, they're in government buildings, they're in courthouses, they're in mayor's offices, they're in public places where adults go, but when you put them in schools, you got kids, and especially in elementary schools, middle schools, you got kids asking questions. You gotta be careful who they're asking questions to.
Yeah, because in the past, I know some class, in years back, we weren't allowed to teach certain things, or even bring topics up, because the parents would say, look, we want to teach that at home. We don't want a stranger or teacher influencing our child either way, so it's kind of, the pendulum's kind of swung back. But
It
I
sure
can remember
has.
where you had to be really careful.
When we go to summer law, you'll see some things that our schools are mandated to teach, which I think are great things. We're required to talk about the 4th of July. We're required to talk about the founding of our country in all grades. We're required to attend and take field trips to government, to learn about government, and we're developing plans to attack all this. We're required by law now to talk about communism. And when I say that, it's not about we're talking about historical countries, Vietnam, Cambodia, and some of the negative effects that communism has created in our world, and all that's by law.
Well, that's good.
Yes, ma'am.
Also, some of these, like the one you were referring to about adultery, I mean, not everybody agrees on what it is considered adultery.
That's what this
And
lady
so
was pointing out to me, yeah.
Some can interpret those very different, but if a student was to ask their teacher, what does that mean right there? It's gonna be the teacher's version, which may not align with what mom and daddy at home think.
Hopefully the teacher's not Bill Clinton.
Or the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instructions.
Well, as long as it
That's a
doesn't
big one.
get past hanging on the wall, I mean, I think, it's gonna be easy for some people to overstep that boundary. And, I don't know, I'm like, Mr. Coon, there's a fine line there between, posting it and teaching it. Because I'm a Christian, but I don't believe the same way as I'm sure Mr. Hargrove does. There's differences, and even in the Christian faith, there's so many different ways that people believe, and we can't forget that. Not everybody believes. I mean, I know everybody doesn't believe like I do, but I call myself a Christian. But when you get down to the nitty-gritty, I may disagree with Holly on some things that's very important to her, and vice versa. It's just a fine line, and as long as it's posted as a historical document, and that's good things to go by. But like you say, if you get down into teaching what each thing is, I mean, which one's worse, lying, adult, it's just no end to it. So, it's sad that we think we've got to do that to make our nation better. It's sad that we've gotten to this point. And to me, example goes a long way than something that's written on a piece of paper. But as far as it being there on the wall, I see nothing wrong with that. And I know we can't stop it anyway.
Wouldn't matter if we did.
I will do and try to pursue some more information and share that with you via email next few weeks.
Anybody else have anything else?
Thank you, Ms. Yinch.
Thank you.
Okay, policy 5.503.
All right. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this was a policy proposed by Ms. Matthews a few months ago. And we start down the path of trying to mesh and see where the, Ms. Matthews' proposed policy, which is 5.503, we'll just call it the red one. That way it keeps it, we'll use numbers with the other. We already have 3 policies that are in line with what we're trying to attack with this policy, and that's 5.500, 5.501, 5.502. When I started trying to untangle this, and this is very, very tangled, I broke it down into 3 different levels, and actually I didn't break it down because I about had my hair pulled out, and I uploaded this to AI. That's about the only way I could see to do it that's feasible. There are 3 areas where the red policy and opposed to the 3 policies we currently operate under. We have overlapping or agreeable parts of it. You have differences in policy, and then there are areas that we are conflicting, where the language is conflicting on how we currently operate. If you take a minute there, on your slide dittos, it kind of outlines those. Overlapping policies, or how is the red policy compare likely with 5.500, 501, and 502, prohibition against retaliation. They all those, the 4 have that. Disciplinary action up to termination, they all agree on that. Consequences for false reporting, exceptions for complaints involving the director, protections of confidentiality, and the right to appeal. Where they differ, broader scope of improper activity, and I can get into these. I have some verbiage if you want to hear some more of it. Protection for refusing unlawful directives, explicit good faith definition, a 90-day retaliation presumption and burden of proof, 3-day investigation acknowledgement, independent investigator requirement, detailed disciplinary matrix, and exemption from progressive discipline. I did contact TSBA on that, and the person that I talked to didn't know and asked where we had found that in that, because she didn't know of any system that utilized it, and she was going to learn something. Where they conflict each other, the chain of command and reporting procedures, the handling of complaints made directly to the board, investigation timelines, classification of false reports, and appeal processes. I guess I'm saying all of this to suggest that they're alike in a handful of ways. They're vastly different and conflicting in several different ways, and there are a bunch of differences in what we're doing. And I'm not sure how we would attack meshing these 4 policies together with an adoption of the policy. I'll be quiet and we can talk about it.
And that's where, just so everybody knows, where the policy committee, that I think we had it twice, I believe, in committee,
Mhm.
and it kept coming back through, was the overlaps. It's like, why shake the tree? We're already covered. When you get into your, not the conflicting language yet, but just the general differences in policies, the differences went into a lot of the choices that the director has in his job duties anyways. When you start talking the investigation, the good faith efforts, what he considers to be severe or not severe, things of that nature of what an employee does, that's right, was right down the tunnel of his responsibilities as a director anyways, because it's his employee. That's when that was what we came to in policy committee was, well, wait a minute. Most of those new things, that's his job description anyways. We don't need to be dictating his job description. Then it came into the conflicting language, and some of that back on the last one was also with the disciplinary measures actually written in policy of what this will get you, this will get you, this will get you, this will get you. That's where most of the policy committee kind of looked at each other, and I won't Mr. Parsley to speak up next, but it was like, obviously the director of schools, when we're sitting there talking about what's in his job description anyway, to look over these and see how bad the grievance was and see what issues actually took place, he's going to render a decision or discipline as he sees fit. It might not fit inside of those predefined boxes. That's kind of where that went. And then, of course, the conflicting language was just as pointed out right here. I'll agree with that, Mr. Hargrove, that the chain of command and reporting procedures, you know, anything made to the board, any kind of complaint whatsoever, whether it be of personnel or anything else, is supposed to be referred to someone else besides the board anyways. Investigation timelines, I think we still have those by law in our current policies. And there again, your classifications of false reports, because some of that could turn into criminal matters anyways, being falsely reported and falsely accused. The appeals process, I think that's still dictated in law.
Mr. Hargrove, what are y'all suggesting, that we combine them, or
I think
do
it
away?
would be a long, I don't even,
I
that
think-
road scares me because of the length of time it'd take us to do that.
What the policy committee said was basically looked at our three policies that we have that cover these items and cover these deals, and said there's a number of things. Number one, this is a really good already in stone process we have. Second thing is, you know, no new policy or three old policies are worth the paper they're written on if we don't follow through to the end of grievances and issues and handle those whether we like to or not. That was the consensus that the policy committee had, and that's why they kept kicking it back to the board to get more into work sessions and things of that nature, to get more feeling and more thoughts and more input, because we were like, we've got three policies that already lay out a great detailed plan that everyone is aware of. They know how to file grievances. You have protections under state and federal law anyways, whistleblower protections and things of that nature. It don't matter how you word a policy. If somebody's going to try to retaliate against someone, it's going to happen anyways, no matter what's on the paper. The punishment's still the same by law. Just got to catch them. People got to know they can speak up. They got to know, they got to stand their ground. And of course, on the flip side of that, we do have to, we got to follow up with these, because what's the purpose of having any kind of grievance procedure whatsoever if we don't finalize and see those through and make sure accountability is sought or not.
So you're saying that policy 5.503 is not necessary?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I'll let Mr. Parsley, if he wants to.
Paul, I got a nice green microphone right beside me, buddy.
I didn't necessarily plan to talk about this, but I mean, I guess the only thing I would add, based upon having been on the policy committee, and it was a few months ago now that we discussed this, the collaborative conferencing committee that the district has, which has members that do rotate over the course of a period of 2 or 3 years, and I can't recall if it's 2 or 3. Back 2 or 3 years ago, spent a lot of time in looking at a grievance policy. And what you find in board policy is a result of that committee's work. The members of that committee at the time, and I couldn't name, because it's been a few years now, I was part of that committee. There were 5 or 6 administrators from throughout the district. They were from various schools, principals, assistant principals. I know there was at least one administrator from this office. And there were 5 or 6 teachers that were on that committee. And so, you know, I guess I would just say there was a detailed policy that was created back a few years ago, and that is part of my understanding, the MOU that the district has with that
I forgot to say
organization.
that a while ago, I meant to.
So it's that MOU, and I may be mistaken about this, I need to look deeper into board policy, but I think that MOU would need to be altered in order to
Renegotiated.
change the grievance policy.
And I don't mind sharing a copy of the MOU with everyone.
That's,
I forgot to say that if we got into this, it would require sitting down with them to work out the MOU. You know,
and I mean, I guess I'm not suggesting that something could not be reorganized and maybe make a little more sense. Maybe there's a blank to fill in somewhere, something to clarify somewhere. But I will say, in my opinion, it's a fairly detailed policy as it is. I remember that when we created it, there was more, my recollection is there was more detail to it than we ended up with initially. And it just went step after step, and, you know, at some point, you know, things kind of get muddled with all of that. So, you know, again, that's just my opinion. We do have the MOU, and I know that it would need to be altered in order for the grievance policy to be changed.
Just the complexity of that reorganization and checking that MOU box, which I think I probably should have shared this with you all a long time ago, a copy of the MOU for you all to review as well, which ties into that. And you're sitting in Dr. Blessing's seat. We gave a historical perspective. Thank you.
Thank you.
So you're saying the MOU is included in our policy
Well-
right now?
So.
Consider.
The steps or grievances?
And I didn't look before I came here, I didn't plan to speak on this. As far as I know, it becomes a part of our board policies when the MOU is approved. And someone may need to correct me on that, but that's my
So they've got to
understanding.
match up, or we've
Yeah.
got,
Yes,
got an
yeah.
issue.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am, you're correct.
On top of just the language
So-
disparity
So really, that
between
needs to be
the
looked
forward
at in
policies.
policy committee meeting, that MOU.
I think you're probably, yeah, I agree.
It's,
I agree.
when is it up again for the MOU?
I don't.
We've got
Usually in the fall.
we have 2 more years.
2 more years?
In the fall.
And that MOU will continue to live. We have a new law that, you know, we have to finish our cycle of, with this group, and then it can cease.
Right.
Collaborative conferencing go away, but we're obligated for 2 more years.
On the MOU. Well, we obviously don't want anything conflicting,
Right.
contradicting that.
So many,
So under the conflicting language, can that be cleared up where now?
It-
'Cause, I mean, we don't
it's a
need
lot.
conflicting language
You-
from one policy to the next.
You're looking at trying to blend 4 different policies together into one.
No, what I'm saying is, it says conflicting language.
our current
If
doesn't
one
have it.
policy says something and another policy is doing the opposite, what I'm
No,
saying.
no, no. Our current policies,
I don't
correct me,
believe-
we have three. They're not conflicting.
No,
As far as
Okay.
I,
They're
Okay.
conflicting with this new document.
the red.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
all right, I see what you're saying.
No, that's, yeah, I wanted
I
to
thought,
clarify
because
that.
I
I
think
may
if
have
we got
said that in a
policies
manner
that are
of
conflicting, we gotta clear that
made it
up.
all conflict, but
And, you know, I guess, Holly, were you the one, you and Chris?
Chris, to be fair, Chris really drafted the
Right.
policy, so I don't want to steal his thunder.
And Chris, you know, it's the, I think, probably, correct me if I'm wrong, is that you were wanting to clarify where people would know exactly, and
Yeah.
it, and the language,
What
you know,
to
like you're
expect.
saying, it's so hard to.
Exactly. You know, the purpose behind it was to make it crystal clear, because when you look at the grievance policy, you know, it's a grievance. Well, you know, you may have a lot of employees out here that, you know, may not really know that something happened and it falls under, you know, that it falls under that grievance, you know, or, you know, if what it, you know, so the whole intent was to, one, was to make it more clear what is considered, I guess you'd say, a violation. And number two would be, as Mr. Gilly said, you know, to make sure that the investigations are followed through and that, you know, that we come up with a result and an answer, and, you know, I mean, that's the two main points behind the policy.
That something is, that it's not just something is finalized. If
Right.
there is a grievance, it's finalized one way or the other, and the steps
Right.
getting there.
And not
And-
just what
and
the-
we
right.
And our
have those.
current policies, we're getting ready to accept or start down the road of Project Coach, which is a new evaluation. Well, our principals, we've already started working on how that rollout will look. Well, a big part of that, one of those sections down there are 4 grievable offenses that will be presented to our faculties when our principals roll that out this fall. So,
Like,
I mean, we try to, and the grievances on that evaluation system are the same grievance procedures that we have in our policy currently.
what we did discuss in the policy committee, because that's what we're doing in the next round of items, is there's nothing in there of grievances against board members. We don't have any policy on that. We don't have any steps for those grievances. We don't have any consequences for anything of that nature.
Board policy? You're saying we have no board policy?
Yeah, we don't have a board. Our grievance policies are geared around employees and in protection of employees and rights for employees. That's the way our policies are geared. It's for the employees and the staff.
So you're saying if an employee had a grievance against the school board member, there's no steps?
There's no real steps other than following our grievance policy that ultimately is supposed to end up at ethics committee, which is made up of board members, and then further move
And-
forward.
Yeah, and it's my
Which
understanding
is
in
the
the state
right-
of Tennessee, we can't do that as a board. We're elected officials, and we can't.
Well, no, you still have ethics. You still have ethics, but what you do is you can't, it takes a county or recall vote to do away with an elected official, but you can censure. That's about the only thing you can do as a group, is censure.
And the recall vote, if you look it up, is a very small window of your population.
To do it.
Yeah, to do it, and I don't think there's a county in the state that'll fall within that,
Yeah.
within the window, because you
Well, I
you
think
can't
that-
do it
that
up
they-
to here, and you can't do it above, if your
Didn't they recall
population's
that
above
one
here,
dude?
it's a
There's that
very,
one guy
Yeah, the one guy up
that
White
said
House
Washington
or somewhere.
what he
Okay.
said
Yeah.
to that girl.
Yeah.
but.
They
you know,
recalled him.
So-
That turned into something totally,
Different
Criminal.
and got into criminal stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it did.
So, there's just things there and, which we have boardmanship policies, we have things of that nature. And that's why I'm not even, we got into that and really got to dissecting the 3 ways that our employees have through 3 different policies, whether it be grievance or whether it be direct other problems and claims they've got against the system or somebody had all that and it aligned with everything else, and then we started noticing the little things where it's like, wait a minute, this is totally different, this is changing total agreements, and some of this right here, and how we report this and how we report that, we can't even do by law, but, and then it was like, well, at the end of the day, we've got three that are, they're built and designed well to protect employees. Obviously, it don't matter what policy we have, whether this one or another one, if we don't follow through with their claims and complaints and make sure everything has been dealt with accordingly, then we got to follow up with accountability, no matter who it is, where it is.
Yeah, accountability speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Well, this new program, you said that you say coach?
Project Coach.
Project Coach, that is just teachers though, and it's not
Yes, ma'am.
it's not other employees like Mr. Coons.
No, ma'am.
You know, the steps for grievances for employees other than teachers, but that's included in the policies.
When Ms. Langham, when we process all our employees, the program that we use, there's a section on
Right.
grievances.
And
so-
maybe that would be a good thing for the school to do at the beginning of the year, as part of an in-service for all other employees. You know, I think it's good, not that they're gonna come up and start turning in grievances, but they do need to know that there are steps, that if something, they're not.
Yes, ma'am.
And that might be a good session for
I think that was
employees
the
other than
point.
teachers, because I think the teachers get it all.
I think that was the point of the policy, is that the staff members
Right.
know that they do have protection.
Right.
And like
But it
the
says
handling-
that in our current
Yeah,
grievance
and
policy.
if the three policies y'all are talking about.
No
if-
matter where you go, if you go to our policy book online and type in grievance, you're gonna get ours, or you'll get this one if we replace it with this one.
Right.
It's, that's
So
the,
we have to decide.
besides word of mouth, you've gotta go to our website if you wanna read our policies.
Well, and you know, that's like a teacher in a classroom. You can hand a child a book, a workbook. If you don't go over that with them and teach them, they're not gonna know what's going on. Adults are the same way. At the beginning of the year, you could do that, and that way you can say, look, you know how, you know exactly what the steps are, and then it's up to you from now on. You get on the website.
What policy is in place right now? Was this policy passed in the last board meeting,
The red one or the other?
the red one?
No, y'all brought the red one.
No,
I
nothing
don't
was
think
passed in the board
5.503's never
No,
been
we
passed.
remember we
Oh,
held
just-
off
oh,
until,
just-
so we
okay.
could talk
Yeah.
about now.
Nothing
Yeah,
was
okay.
It was just,
So maybe I was thinking it was included in the general consent. Was it not?
It was.
It was? So we passed it with general consent.
No.
We pulled that
I thought
policy
that was
for.
Yeah, we
pulled
pulled
out.
it and made it an agenda item.
it was pulled
That
out.
was in the May meeting, not in the June meeting. The June meeting, it was on the list of general consent.
The first reading.
No, it was on the, let's see, where's the,
Typo. But it was pulled, I know it was pulled for the work session.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
pulled, and we
For
discussed
this,
it.
yeah.
yeah, the May meeting, it was, Mr. Hargrove pulled it out of the first reading and, you know, requested a action item.
For the work session.
Yeah, but the June 8th, it was listed with the policies, reading second and final.
So it passed.
It didn't pass the
Find out.
first
And
reading. though,
there
did
wasn't
it?
a first reading on that one. It was just probably, because we pulled, you know, the first reading, it was pulled out. Mr. Hargrove
At
pulled
the
it
May
out.
meeting.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
But it got on the next meeting's agenda, so it would have been just, that one would have been the first reading if we,
If you don't count the May meeting?
yeah, because we didn't vote on it, the main meeting.
The
It was
April
pulled
meeting
out.
was when it was presented.
That would be 3 times.
It's gotta be passed through a first and second reading. It hasn't passed the first
You
reading
just
yet.
passed it the third.
Say again?
You just passed it the third reading.
Not the third. It hasn't.
Second,
Second,
Yeah,
second.
but it didn't go through the first, correct?
Well, what
I don't
happened
know
at
if that was a
April meeting?
typo and it just got in there or not.
Yeah.
We've not had a,
Our intentions have always been to
We've
talk
not
about
had
it
a
at
vote
the
on
meeting,
this.
at this
Yeah.
It always got kicked back to policy committee the first time, and then it was gonna be gutted and this and that, and then I think then this last meeting, it was talked about again, it was actually made it to the agenda, and it was like, no, we're gonna go to the work session with it. That's, I mean, minutes and video will
Yeah. We can go back.
straighten that out.
and
Yeah,
watch.
that ain't no big deal, but I do have to leave, Ms. Jones. Can I ask one question, not stopping that, y'all continue? This was laying on here, this 6.313, what is, wasn't on the agenda? Spectators thing or something? I just wanted to ask a question about that before I had
This
to
may,
leave.
Yes, it was. And, the spectators bag, we found a model policy for that, just to look at as we're moving forward.
Oh, okay,
into
okay.
Next school year, potentially.
Not necessarily on the
adopting-
agenda for today, but.
No, sir.
Okay.
We're not done, but that was just, hey, that's just something to look at.
And I will say before I have to go, that was brought up in safety committee. Holly, was you there that day?
I
Safety
was
committee?
not, no, unfortunately.
It was brought up in there to go hand in hand with the other safety things we have starting at the high school.
Uh-huh.
Because
Yeah.
every single system
Oh, I
around us
know.
does the clear
Yeah.
bag.
Well, that's just logical
It-
to me. I
it
mean,
it
if you're
definitely-
going.
Well, the purpose of that being in your packet is just a review, and let's find how we can make it better, or as we review it.
I didn't
in
want
the
to
policy
interrupt the
committee.
last one, the 5.3
Yeah.
whatever,
No.
but I gotta go.
think-
I didn't know why that showed up here. I didn't see it on the agenda.
So,
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
so what we need to do on that 5.503 is to make sure that it wasn't a final reading on it. And if it is, we'd have to go back and discuss if we want to keep that as policy, since it's,
But I just wonder what is in effect right now.
Right.
I'm not sure we
right.
really know.
I mean, I recall it being pulled from the agenda. It was on there. And the only thing that, we voted on the rest. So I don't recall.
Well,
If it was in there, it was probably a typo, because I recall that we were going to discuss it at the work session.
Well, it may have, it very well probably was a typo.
But it's still, if we passed it, we passed it. It was
Exactly,
on there.
because if
Right.
you go back and you look at policy
Right.
1.600, which is policy development and adoption,
Right,
it says, "A proposed policy or policy change shall be submitted to the board as part of the agenda. Any interested parties shall be given opportunity to be heard on the proposal. The board's approval of the proposal or return for study and/or further revision shall constitute the first reading." So, with that being said, it was kicked to policy committee, that was the first reading by our own policy, so that's something that,
Sure.
we'll need to double check on and make sure, and then we can correct it at the next meeting if we need to, but just,
Remove it.
yeah, just so that, we're all.
Well, the
we're
good thing
all-
is, school's not out, and I think one of the comments, and you'll have to check the minutes, was that we have time to do this prior to the next year's school year starting. That's why we bumped it to this meeting, I think.
Right, but I mean, I'm just saying that, according to our own policy, we already had the first reading,
Right.
and then it was on the agenda for the second reading, and it wasn't pulled out
right.
the second time.
Right.
So,
We can take care of it
Yeah,
in July.
that'll be-
yeah, I mean, I'm just saying that, we need to make sure that it's,
So it technically passed on general consent at the June meeting, correct?
that would be the way I would understand it, and that's the way that TSBA understands it.
Yeah.
But at any time, somebody could bring it back up and, okay,
Mhm.
okay. Well, we'll just go from there.
In
then.
July.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll need to determine if we want to keep it like it is with the
Right.
3 policies reading as they are, or if there's something that needs to change in there, or if we want to, I guess you could say consolidate or whatever, and go.
And I don't even know how to begin that, because there are different layers of it. There's layers that they're agreeable, there's a layers that are definitely conflict, and there are levels in there, so.
And you probably find that with a lot of our policies. They may overlap and,
The one I've got a question on is handling complaints made directly to the board. What's conflicting about that?
Well, will we have to pull it up and look at both?
No,
I'm
you'd have
not
to
sure
pull-
what
you'd
he's
have to pull the
referencing.
policy up and see what it
Where do you
says.
see that?
But I do
That's
know
on
that
the-
the handling
Right there.
complaints directly to
Right
the
there.
board
Handling.
should
Handling
be.
complaints made directly to the board, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, handling complaints
What?
made directly to the
What was
board was
conflicting?
discussed with me, with the board attorney, and, you know, it's the same no matter what. You go through the chain of command. If somebody comes to a board member and has a complaint, we don't try to solve it. We
Right, we have to
tell
go
them,
to-
go through and then, once it goes through all those steps, and it doesn't get resolved, then they can come back to the board and present it to the board.
Like in public comment?
Right, right.
But
Well, I know
And that should be the same no matter what.
well, I know in that draft, it said, I believe that, it said that, and I don't know where that's, conflicting, but I was thinking it said that, complaints made to the board, we would tell the director, and if the complaints was made on the director, then we would seek an outside independent source to investigate.
When it involves a director.
Yes, when it involves the director,
Right.
we would seek an independent outside, I mean,
Right.
the board didn't handle it,
Right.
but we would find an outside, whether it be a former,
And that's kind of misleading when you say complaints made directly to the board. You think of
Exactly.
a board as a body. Complaints made directly to an individual
Individual
board
board
member,
member.
that's when you make, that's when it goes through the chain of command. The parent or individual goes to the person that's in charge, and then that, the steps, follow the steps, and then it comes to the entire board.
If they choose.
If they choose,
Right.
yeah, if it's not resolved, and
Right.
they
That's
choose
up to
to.
them.
Right.
But
So,
we need to make that crystal clear that it's okay. And we don't need principals or anybody else telling school board or any members of the school, employees, that they don't need to come talk to us. We need to make that crystal clear.
And we also need to make it very crystal clear what that process looks like. It goes back to the school administrator, which is part of that outlined chain of command and that organizational chart that we developed. By all means, we don't skip steps there. It goes to school administrators.
and also too, it's been suggested, and I hope that the board agrees to this, you have to agree for this, but, that we can have a workshop with our board attorney, and that can go through these steps specifically with us. If we've got any questions, we can ask and so forth, and that way everybody knows exactly what you can and can't do. And, like Mr. Hargrove was saying, if somebody comes to us with a complaint, I'm not gonna say, get away from me, I can't talk to you. We're
No.
gonna listen to them, and that's what we're supposed to do, we're elected.
That's right.
And we're supposed to listen to the people that voted us in here, and listen to them, and then advise them on what the next step is. This is what you do, I hear your complaint, understand you're needing to get this resolved, this is the steps in the process. And then if this doesn't work out, then that's when you come to the entire board, not just back to me, but the entire board.
Well, and also, I guess, if that employee has or not even an employee, but if it's even a parent, if the issue is, I know the first line is the building administrator, right? But if the issue is with that building administrator, then where do you tell them to go?
You have another chain of command,
Is
you
that
part of that.
go to the director?
The deputy director and then the director.
So complaints go to deputy director before they come to you?
And we have a complaint form
Yeah.
out here, and the probability is greater probably that I'll end up making that phone call, returning that phone call, but we do have a complaint form where they can file a formal complaint. And the goodness in that, Ms. Holly, is it keeps a record, it keeps a timeline, and it also keeps up and protects us on how we handled it, because all that is required. It's just not a one-way form. Whoever makes a complaint has their part, but we also have an obligation on that as well.
And it does document, you're right. I thought that we were going to vote on that. Did I misunderstand that? That complaint form being,
Oh, we did vote on that. I
No,
thought-
we didn't.
did I
never been
misunderstand
voted
that?
on.
I remember that coming up in work
Yeah, I
session,
don't-
you
There's
proposing
nothing,
it.
there's nothing, I don't think y'all have, it requires your approval. It's
Oh,
just
okay.
kind of our
It's
process
a
is,
procedure.
So that is already in place.
yes, ma'am, has been for,
So, for instance, if it was a parent that had a problem with a teacher,
Yeah.
well, then we would say, have you talked to the teacher? You know,
Right.
that's the first thing. You
Right.
don't go
Yeah.
complain on somebody if you haven't even discussed it with them.
Exactly.
If it's not resolved, they go to the principal. And then if the principal doesn't resolve it, I guess it goes to
But we
the
need,
deputy director, and then on to the director.
we need to remember that the state law, 2024 Tennessee Code Title 8, Public Officials and Employees, and in also in 1980, Public Freedom Act 1980, it says, guys, and I quote, "No public employee shall be prohibited from communicating with an elected public official for any job-related purpose whatsoever."
Well,
Period.
they can communicate with us, but the minute we start trying to solve their problems or tell them
Doesn't say anything
how,
about solving problems.
I know, and
I think we just
that's,
have to report it.
I don't think anybody's
No.
debating what you're
Yeah.
referencing,
I mean,
Mr. Hansard.
Right.
I think
I
the
communicate
next
every day with
steps
Right, right.
is what's in question.
yeah.
If it's a complaint,
Yeah.
a specific, but as far as just discussing, I mean,
Oh,
that's
you can
part
talk
of
to, I
being a
mean, people
board
can
member,
talk to their
you
blue
know.
in the face about what they like or don't like, or what
Right.
happened, or whatever, but I think we have to follow the guidelines on how to report it. And they do too, and we do also,
Sure.
as well.
That other complaint form that I'm referencing is for our families.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a very detailed outline policy, 3 of them, that detail the process for an employee. We're talking about parents,
Yeah, I
in the-
remember
in the
us
community.
discussing it, and
yes.
the issue of possible confidentiality coming up and that kind of thing. I just didn't realize
Yeah.
it had already been put into place.
And we've had 2.
Does that help? That's not bad.
That's just, no, you're right. That one's gone.
And I think the
Not
most
many at
important
all.
thing is listening, you know,
Yeah.
listen to them, and then if the next person listens, you know, a lot of times it gets resolved before it ever even
It
gets.
It
typically
does.
does.
And
If you'll
only
listen.
one of them has been returned completed out of the 2 that have been
Oh,
picked
so one
up.
wasn't
So we
even-
didn't act on the other one. But the other one, we worked it out and acted, and I believe the.
I satisfied.
The nice,
Well, we
yes,
just, we
ma'am.
just want to make sure that they're not afraid, that there's not going to be any repercussions in talking to us. That's our biggest thing. We don't want nobody to feel like they
That's
can't
why,
talk to us.
that's why you're elected. Nobody's
That's exactly
questioning
right.
that. But,
And with
but
their voice.
just, we need to make sure,
Yeah.
and there's 2 sides of it. You have the employee side of it, which we spent a long time talking about these policies. And then you have the parental and the community side of it that's outside of that.
But nobody needs to be telling.
But those
nobody needs to be
processes
telling-
are much different.
Yeah, but nobody needs to be telling employees that you don't need to be talking to the school. Would you agree to that?
Yeah, first, when does that happen?
I've told you about one of them.
Okay,
Remember that one?
not exactly, but I
Okay.
flipped some
Yeah.
since then.
Okay.
No, I think we all agree that no
Do I?
employee or
Have that
anyone should be
issue.
afraid to
Yeah.
talk, to come up and have a conversation with a
Yeah.
board member. I
No,
mean,
I mean,
that,
that's what we're elected to do.
and you
That's
know,
exactly right.
No.
Yeah.
and I never, when I worked for the school system, I never felt intimidated about talking to a board member, and I hope that,
Yeah. And
They don't know.
it can be tough as a board member. I know Jennifer and I have talked about this. You know, people come to you and they want to tell you what's happened, and they want you to fix it.
right,
You know, and a lot of it is, you know, well, I don't have the power. So who have you talked to first, and then has it been taken here or there? I don't know that I can do a lot other than maybe notify the director, is that right? I mean,
start
we
the
don't
process.
have as much power
Right.
really not
And,
much.
and also too, you know, a lot of times they'll say, well, the board did that, you know,
Yeah.
the board called off the school, the board did this, and they think, the community thinks we're making all these decisions when we're not.
Right.
And I think sometimes that's misleading,
misleading,
because,
yeah.
and also, this is called this is labeled out here, the Board of Education, so they think, a lot of people think we're just up here, you
Yeah,
know,
they
we're
do.
carrying on. And, I've noticed that some of these other school systems, I'm thinking, how do they get away, you know, how do they get out? Well, you look at Bedford County, it says Bedford County Central Office. And sometimes, I think sometimes maybe, I don't know how
Yeah.
it got labeled
Well,
that.
a lot of people think
This
we
should
have
say the
offices
board
up there.
room. I know it. I mean, this should be the Coffee County Board of Education room,
Yeah,
but this
and then
building is not
It's
us.
the central office,
Mhm.
right?
It's a central
not.
office, and I
I
think,
don't
I
work
think
at
that would take away a lot of
Good and all.
people, you know, coming to us, thinking
Give
we're
me an
doing it.
office, yeah.
Mr. Hargrove, I like what you said about
So just-
making it crystal clear, the chain of command, because I know myself personally, I did not know that there was a chain of command whenever I was mad in COVID and y'all made my
Yeah.
kids wear masks and I wanted to complain to somebody.
Yeah.
So what Holly said, when people do come to us and we say, well, have you followed the chain? They think we're just brushing them off.
No, I get it.
They don't like it.
Right.
No, I get
And
it.
I
I'm not
understand.
trying to break the
Right.
chain. I don't want to fix these problems, but it's hard to be the one that tells them.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, can
I
you
think,
help
I
me?"
think the one big thing, and I think you brought that out eloquently, that we all face, me included, we have to be good listeners.
Yeah.
And with the one complaint that I did deal with, the predominant majority of that conversation, I was just the listener.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
What- I mean, I'm,
Lots can be resolved just by listening. They, you know,
But then when they're done talking, they want you to say something back. That's
reassuring.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in the grocery store or at the gas station or something like that, whenever they corner you and it's,
but you know, I've always told them, look, if you don't get it resolved, come back, you know, come
Yeah.
back to me.
Yeah, if
We'll
you're not
figure it out
satisfied.
somewhere or another. I'm not gonna, so I think we don't need to be afraid to do that at all, because that's what we're elected for.
That's
That's
right.
right.
That's right. If you don't, and I've said that, you know, if you don't get it resolved or if you don't get satisfaction, let me
Right,
know. We'll,
right.
we'll look at something or.
We
Right.
should put it
talk
on the
somebody.
website, like the front page of the website, chain of command. Do you have a problem? Question mark.
Right.
And have it listed with the emails properly clicked and put hours last.
it might not hurt to move that up in the section on their website, or chain of command, where that's a whole lot easier to find, because it is hard to find whenever you go looking for it.
And
'Cause when
put
you're
no
mad, you're
retaliation
mad.
at the bottom.
Yeah.
No, that's right.
When you're mad and you want to talk about it, you think, well, I'm going to call the board. And I don't blame them. That's what I would want to
Yeah.
do too. So,
I mean, as a parent, I can see it from that side, and now as a board member, I see it from another side.
Well, as an elected official, you represent them, so
You do.
Right.
That's
they
right.
want they want their voices heard.
Right.
and
And
it
they
is
should be.
hard. It's
Yeah.
hard when you don't know.
You know, the thing
What to
about it,
do.
what everybody has to remember is as humans, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason. You gotta listen with both ears before you
That's
speak,
true.
you know, so listen and take it in and then go.
I think we covered that. So we're gonna have to, so what we're doing here is, making sure that that policy, if it got passed, then we're gonna have to deal with it.
We'll review the
policy
minutes
committee
and have to
review
go
it,
back
okay.
through and look at
Go
those and
from
get
there.
that. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay, on the school fees, that would be
Yes,
Hargrove.
Miss Frida and everybody in this room, please excuse me, but it's gonna take me a little bit to get there, but I promise I'm gonna get there at some point. If you follow along in your packet, I want y'all to understand the rationale behind why I say what I say. And to do that, we need to talk. I promised Ms. Peacock 5 minutes or less, so I will do that.
All right.
There's an old country song, Mr. Coons, called "The Good Time's Really Over for Good." And I can't remember who sings it, but I do know some of the words, but that's about it.
Merle Haggard.
There you go. Thank you, Mr. Hansard.
Sounds
Right on time. And we have had a decade of prosperous time, dollar-wise, as school systems throughout our state. Times are changing and we are facing a major shift in the amount of monies that we're receiving. We have roughly a $54 million budget. Now, I enjoy this part, Ms. Beth, because the teacher part in me comes out. $54 million budget, and that's rounding. Out of that 54%, 85% goes to salaries and benefits. So we've already spent 46 million of that goes into our people. We're investing in our people, in their salaries and in their benefits. So we have to operate our school in other areas with those remaining dollars. I shared with you a pie chart. I'm a visual learner. This is the artsy part of me, Ms. Beth. And that's what our allocation looks like. 41.5% of our dollars are provided by our commission, county commission. 40% are provided by our state, and 18.5%, the yellow, is our federal government. I don't know, it was 7, 8 years ago when I was in interim and went through the budget process, our pie chart looked vastly different than this. Ms. Frida, you remember those days. The local portion was in the low 30s, somewhere in there. The federal portion was well up in the 20s, and the state portion was like 50-something, more than half of it was state. So the reason I point that out is there is a shift, and there has been a shift. And the shift started when our state adopted our TISA formula. The statements back then, and then it was followed by, let's get our teachers to $50,000. $50,000. We got to give raises. Let's get them to $50,000. Well, that caused us conflict, even within our own community. And the folks down in our county commission are struggling to provide, but we were mandated by the state to do that. Okay? One of the purposes of the TISA formula was, and I don't want to use the word wean, was to redirect funding to local sources instead of the state. That's why our pie graph looks the way it does today. Oh, by the way, our county commission funds us well, and I'll get to that here in a little bit. Well, in efforts to get everybody to 50, it's cost us, and obviously in other areas. Remember, we lost the guaranteed TVA money, and there's that amount. We got Bonnaroo this year. I hope the tax dollars were good, but I heard the crowd wasn't what it normally is. But we did get the 3 days of Bonnaroo. There's been a shift in our WFTE in our ADA funding, and that is a local funding. I'm now going to ask Ms. Milson to explain that.
So I don't know if I've mentioned before, but I may have mentioned that every year I do a calculation that does the split between the local funding for our 2 city districts and us. And so we lost, I usually do that March, April, May timeframe, depending on when the State Department provides me those numbers. So this year we lost 1%, and then our Tullahoma district also lost 1% to Manchester City Schools. So that calculation seems like it every year we've continued just to trickle down. This year was the biggest that I've seen, the full 1% to our city district. And so we lost $203,000 in this budget year, and we'll continue to lose that until that recalculation goes. We'll continue to lose that 1% every month until that recalculation happens again in April or May.
Now, why are we losing that to the city?
Okay, we were losing students.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, and 2 of our areas are losing students, and our sister district is gaining students.
What areas are that we're losing students in?
Tullahoma and Coffee County
No,
schools.
I mean, from our district, is it a certain grade level? Is it a certain school?
I think it's spread pretty evenly.
Middle? but we've lost a lot in middle school, because it was 1,000 and something, and
And
now
there-
it's down to 700 and
Yeah,
something.
And there is a lull. Now, the interesting part of that, Ms. Frida, is back here sits Mr. Parsley. When those kids get to be ninth grade and go to Central High School, those numbers get back up because we're combining
Right.
two school systems in
But
a
at one
couple of
time,
houses.
but at one time, we were pulling
Yes,
from the
ma'am.
city. We need to get
Oh,
back
yeah.
to that.
Yeah, I mean, our enrollment at middle school's dropped, what, 25%?
A whole school, 300, over 300 kids.
They used to be 1,000, and now they're 750-ish.
And there's a lull. There is a lull there. The good news is, I think there's a little uptick coming in. I
The
think
ninth grade academy?
the sixth grade class.
Oh.
I have all those numbers in here, and
Yeah,
I'll be
I'd be
more than
interested
glad
in
to
seeing that.
share the cohort.
See, you don't think anything about that till it gets in the dollars.
That's
And
correct.
that's how
Oh,
we
yeah, I mean,
generate
their
our,
funding,
so it's kind of like competition, you know?
Yes, ma'am. You're exactly, and we've talked to our
And-
principals about we are competing. And we're not only competing with the schools in our county, the school systems in our county, we're also competing with school systems
Right.
around us.
So we're competing with two other school districts countywide and then the whole state. So we're really at a disadvantage. And we're mandated to be open.
Yes,
And-
ma'am.
But we're
We're,
penalized.
we're not allowed to charge a student that lives in the Manchester city limits tuition.
Right.
But if we lose one to Manchester City, there is a tuition, or Tullahoma City has tuition. They all live in our county, thus we
Yeah.
don't charge.
it's not going both ways there.
There you go. Not that you're getting rich off of tuition,
Right.
and we'll talk
Right.
about that here in a second. There's
But-
also been a TICSA
Well,
shift.
Let me ask one thing here. What does that, I'm probably dumb, but what does WFTE stand for?
Weighted full-time equivalent average daily attendance.
I knew what that was, okay. So that's why, when we lost enrollment, that's why we lost the 203,000.
So I get that calculation from the state
Right.
every year, and I use that to calculate the split between the districts.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am, we're losing.
Okay.
All right, so that comes out of our blue part of our pie. That's local funding that comes out of that blue part. Also, we've had a shift in TISA, and the state just did this. We have CTE designations that have changed, and between personal finance, not allowing us to code that as a CTE course, which everybody is feeling this in the state. It's not just Coffee County. Along with, they moved welding from a tier 2 money to tier 1 money. We're losing another $120,000. The TISA ADA, the last 2 months of school, you can see, we started the year at 4,150 students. Graduation night, we had 4,090. For the last 2 months, we've lost $77,000 in dollars because we've lost those 60 students. If we hold at that number next year, just say we have 4,090 students all year long, that will be a total loss of 451,000,
Is that about 10,000 a student?
7,530. Flip the page.
What makes children, why do we lose them in the last month?
Well, in the last 2 months, kids go to homeschool, kids move away, families, our society as a whole is much more transient than it used to be. So, I'm ashamed to announce this. Out of all 50 states, our per student or pupil ratio spending, we are dead last in our country. In fact, we're 51st because of District of Columbia.
I believe it.
Okay.
I'd heard
I'm
that.
glad you shared that. I had no, that,
We are
Sad.
dead last. Now, I made a statement a while ago about our county commission supporting us in local dollars. When you add the local dollars with that 7,530, our school system ranks top half. Is that fair to say?
In
Of the
Tennessee,
state.
in
Yes.
Tennessee.
We're doing our part in Coffee County to try to ensure success. We also have been talking for the last 6 months about our federal dollars. We have moved 6 staff members that were funded through IDA federal funds. We've had to move them from federal funds to our GP budget, which comes out of our dollars, okay? 6.
Our fund balance,
No,
no.
we moved 6 out just of our general purpose budget that you all approve every year. We took them from the yellow dollars, now they're into our dollars out of our budget.
See, that's sad because we're required
Yes, ma'am.
provide all those services by the federal government,
Yes, ma'am.
but they're pulling money away from us where we have to come up with it locally.
That is correct.
And you're required to do something, but you gotta, and that makes a big difference in a school system like Coffee County and Franklin. You know, there's more money generated there for schools and to provide services than here, but we've got the same rules.
So
But the
in the
state
past, we've
requires it.
seen those allocations grow, those federal IDEA, and they're not growing.
No, they're not growing.
And we're giving raises and benefits are going up, and so it's just hard to maintain
Right.
those people and those grants if they're not increasing those grants to take care of those.
And
raises.
it is what it is. We're gonna teach whoever shows up at our doorstep. But our percentage of that special needs population is growing at a rapid pace. So the needs are growing, which is fine. We wanna help all our children and invest in all our children. But our school district's roughly at 22%, and it does cost more. We wanna provide those, all of our children with whatever it takes to help them be successful. So, more dollars required.
Well, and that's the difference between a public school and the voucher system, because those schools aren't required to take those students and provide services for them. They can pick and choose.
Yes, ma'am.
And the tax dollars are, it's just, it's
It is,
messed
and we're
up.
gonna meet everybody that shows up at our doorstep, wanting to meet them exactly where they're at and help them be most
Right.
socially, emotionally,
Exactly.
and
Every child.
academically. Yes,
Every
ma'am.
child.
And we
We
take a
don't
lot
turn
of
around.
pride in that, and we're trying to do the
But
best we
they're
can.
being provided more funding per student than we are, than our public school kids.
So if another student that applies for the scholarship or the private school, they get $7,530.
Which is more than.
That's exactly what a public
They're
school
doing the
job is.
same now.
So do the math. All right, moving on. There's talk about, in Washington, combining all the federal programs into one pot. To be honest, that feels like, to me, we're getting ready to lose some more in that. All right, this is something for us to be proud of, but this also scares the heck out of me. You all pay 67% of an employee's insurance and benefits that is under the family or spouse, okay? You pay 100% of an individual. If I just claim myself, nobody else is on there, you pay 100%, okay? Projected in '27, so January of next year, the projected increase is 7 to 9%. 7 to 9% increase. What does that mean to our budget? For that individual, and we roughly have 250 of those, Mr. Hanser. We have 250 that claim individuals, okay? That's $72 a month that we're paying. That's roughly $24,000 to $25,000 a month for individual insurance. And that's about $288,000 a year just from the health insurance increases. That's just for the individuals. I saw a stat the other day that said our insurance used to be 20 years ago was 5% of our household income. It's now risen to 20%. Okay?
But every employee, from the bus driver all the way up to you, pays the same amount, correct?
You pay the same, for a family, everybody.
No, the employee. An employee, from the bus driver to the custodian, all the way up to central office,
Yeah.
makes the same, they pay the same amount for insurance, correct?
Same premium.
Yep, the
Yeah.
same premium,
Yeah, if they claim themselves,
Yeah,
they don't pay
yeah.
anything.
right.
Right.
They're the same.
Yeah,
unless they want to be family, right?
Yes.
And then it goes
So-
up
Then
and
it
you're,
goes to
we're gonna, you
Right.
all are gonna pay 67% of that, whatever that number is.
Right.
Now, remember, there's another side of this, and I didn't figure the numbers for you. That family's going up too. Well, the insurance holder or whoever is the insured person is gonna pay a portion of that. We're gonna pay another portion of the other portion of that out of our budget.
But you know, this is something really that should be stressed, how good insurance we have for our employees, and because a lot of school systems don't, and we're meeting the 50,000 plus this.
Yes,
That
ma'am.
doesn't factor into that 50, that's a big deal when you've got insurance like this. And-
Yes,
and,
ma'am.
you can depend on it from year to year, that means a lot for a profession.
Well, our insurance is, and we are really, like I said, we really ought to be proud of that.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a much better place than people outside
Yeah.
of our school system that
Or
are
other
paying
school
insurance.
systems.
Yes,
They don't
ma'am.
have as good a
But
coverage.
insurance is a nationwide hurdle
Right.
that, it's gone up at this clip for a long, long time.
And we're-
Is-
Go ahead, I'm sorry, Helen.
I was just gonna say, are we looking at the future? I mean, how much longer are we gonna be able to pay 100%
All
of
right.
an individual's insurance?
To answer your question, let's flip the page.
But
Just
before,
asking.
but we're still paying our retired teachers as well, correct? How many are we paying for?
There is a small number.
I think we have between 20 and 30, that if they retire, they'll have to meet certain qualifications in order for us to pay for their insurance.
Yeah.
And it's only till 65, so we pay it, so say they retire at 62, we pay it till 65
Yeah.
if they meet the qualifications that are in our policy.
Yeah, we've got, I mean, I know like 6, I think, that's still, they're not 65, but they're retired. They've been retired for about 10 years now, and we're still paying their insurance.
We
So
we pay a portion and then the state pays a portion.
Mhm.
So I think it's 55-45 split. I think we pay 45, the state
Yeah.
pays 55%. That is only for our certified employees. The state will not pay for our classified employees, but the board will still reimburses the 45% for those classified employees that meet those qualifications. That's only for our legacy employees. Our hybrid employee, it's not offered to our hybrid employees.
And please, help me remember, don't, you keep that thought in your head, because our next study session or work session, I like to talk about a couple of things that deal with that. Because we're gonna get to a point where, well, let's flip the page.
And I will say too, I add too, that employee only, where we pay 100%, I haven't found a district that touches us that does that offers 100%. If you're a single employee and you have employee-only insurance, I haven't found, I've called, and we're one of the only ones that I know of that still provide 100% insurance.
Yeah, I've never found a job that.
I
Yeah.
gotcha. Well, in that same vein, it is a terrific, this ties in with, don't let that escape our brains for the next work session as we look at building a budget for that might be that and an individual's insurance. You know, maybe we pay 67% of all, and I know that, I don't know. I struggle with that. Just food for thought. How are we combating this? Well, we've cut 4 teaching positions for this next school year. That means we didn't cut 4 people, but we didn't rehire in their place, okay? We also lost 1 title teaching position. That's that federal dollars cut that we fell victim to. We've also have cut an educational assistance position. So that's pay and that. That's how we're trying to shrink our spending to get to where we can do the things we need to do. I'd say raising, remember the old song, Are the Good Times Really Over for Good? The raises, and I think those days may be behind us. And we had a really good 10-year run. Don't know that for fact. How are we combating the insurance? Well, we're watching others, and the process we're looking at may be a 2 or 3 year process to get us in position to do that. It won't happen at the drop of a hat. It will take a year or 2, probably 3 to get in place so we can get our insurance under control. if your mind's wandering, going outside the state plan, you'll be wandering correct. But there's
If
some
I were a
things
teacher-
attached.
If I were a teacher, I'd prefer keeping my insurance as opposed to getting a $500 raise.
Right.
So, I mean, maybe you could balance it out, that we're not giving raises, we can still keep.
Yes, ma'am.
That's a good idea.
Keep that,
Yeah, but we
because
had,
that's very
yeah,
important.
we had to see this coming, though.
Oh, sure.
We-
Well,
you
like I
know,
say, for the
you know.
decade that we lived through, yeah, and guess what? We're there, and our local funding is outdoing what the state is paying us, and, that chart looked way different just 7, 8 years ago. All right, well, here's where we're landing. Now we're landing the airplane. Let's flip to the back page, and we'll have to go back over. Remember, we talked about fees. Our elementary schools, we are so blessed in this community. Miss Carrie Davis, she does the Invest in the Best program, and I'm not sure, Mr. Hansard, but I understand that there are several local churches. You mentioned that last week when we were talking about. I think they're involved in the Invest in the Best, which provides our school supplies for all our elementary schools. Carrie does a phenomenal job with that. We also have the Pack the Bus, that's done by United Way. Duck River does fill the bucket. We have a ton of great local partners with local churches. We write grants. We even have individual donations made to schools for school supplies for our elementary folks. We are truly blessed. That's why we're not charging fees for our elementary. We feel like they're well served. If you flip back over, if everybody in the middle school paid their fees, it would equal $22,000. Last school year, they took in around $5,700. Everybody at Radar Academy paid the required fees. It would be $16,000. They took in $23,000 or $2,300. If everybody at Central High paid their fees, it would roughly be $40,000, and I think they took in 66. It's down to 6,000, but it's $6,000 is what they took in. Okay, if you total, and we wanted to adopt from a limping in budget, it would roughly be $80,000. That's why my recommendation is leave the secondary schools exactly where they're at, and if we are blessed to have parents that are willing to pay for their kids' class fees, I promise those three principals, they utilize that money. They utilize it well, and getting a little bit of it opposed to the system funding the other, that's why I recommend what I recommend. And Mr. Hansard brought up a great point a while ago. It's coming. Well, it's here. It is here. My fear is moving forward, and I don't want to use a scare tactic, is I want us to be able to stabilize our budget where we're at, because I don't want to cut any more positions. There were two things that stood out when I landed here. One of those things was our student-to-teacher ratio, and what happens when we cut teachers? It goes up. And the second thing is, for the ages of our buildings, they're in pretty good shape. They're in pretty doggone good shape. Now, the high school is a ruckus right now. You gotta wear a hard hat, but man, it's really exciting to walk and see what all's gone on in 2 or 3 weeks. So that's why I recommend what I recommend. If someone can afford to pay a fee, please let them pay it. And we do with what's left.
Looks like, only about roughly 20%
Do what?
of the kids
It
pay
sure
the
is.
fees.
If you divided what was
That's
taken
just me
in by the
looking.
number, each child's paying about $4.80 at the high school.
It's just not, I mean, the kids, they just don't bring it in.
I understand, and I understand this.
And from a teacher's standpoint, you know, you don't wanna have to just keep on, you know, I mean,
Right.
some literally cannot afford it.
I get it. And I don't think Mr. Parsley or
Oh, no.
Ms. Seller, they're not beating down the doors.
No,
Ms. Anderson
I've
do it.
never heard
But
of
they're
that happening.
thankful for the money that they do get, and it's
Yeah.
well utilized. Does it cover everything? No, but we make it work. And
So-
it helps our schools.
You both said something that I wanted to point out. You said if parents can't afford to pay the fee, let them pay it. You said not everyone can afford it. Some of these people are just super, super respectable people who are gonna pay for it even if they can't afford it. And I added it up, which I didn't have Dr. Blessing. It would have been easier for me to add this if I had. It's only $14,000. We don't bat an eye about these $1,000 tables. We buy stuff all the time. We can't pay this $14,000?
I don't understand where I think the total is 80.
No, she's talking about
She's
what
saying
you
what-
really
What we
collect.
collecting.
actually collected was
No,
only.
I got, that's actually what we collect. The other side of that is what we're asking.
Exactly.
But
We're
you're only
having-
getting 14,000,
Yeah, we're
which-
having
That's
to
from our
pay
parent.
the
yeah.
rest of that anyway, so why beg for this 14,000 when we're already paying the rest of it?
We asked for it. I don't know, I'm not sure. We're not begging for it. We asked for it, and
Oh,
if you pay it,
sometimes
you pay
yes.
it, and if you don't, you don't.
Sometimes it is, and I'm not putting teachers down at all,
I know
but
they do.
Well, outside of ROTC, you know which course requires the most. Does anybody want to gander?
I don't like to say things out loud sometimes, so you can say it.
Science.
Yeah,
Yes,
It's expensive.
I get it,
yeah, and.
but.
Also,
if
you
the
look at
kids do the labs-
ROTC, yes,
Yeah.
and some other things that require, that are all great things for our kids.
I appreciate all this that you put together, and I understand where you're coming from, but I'm never, ever, not ever gonna vote for people to have to pay these fees.
Well, and I'm respectful of that, and y'all will decide as a board what we do and what we do not do.
I may be the
I-
standaloner, but
It's okay. I'm twofold with this. One, I want you to know what's coming budgetarily in our school system, and we need to prepare for it. And the second thing is my 2 cents and the rationale behind it.
you know what? Let's have another lemonade day to pay for the school fees. The
Well,
kids
they-
love it. They
yeah.
had a great time. Why
They
can't
made
we
how
do that
much?
and direct that towards the school fees? Could we do that?
I mean,
I will
Talk to
serve
Ms.
lemonade.
Katie.
I will even buy the packets of the Kool-Aid.
I
it's
understand where
that's a
you're coming from.
minimal amount,
Yeah.
14,000. I mean, look at what
Right.
our lemonade, our kids, or our schools donated, how much out?
Yeah.
So we're giving away
Right.
money when we really
Right.
need that money
Yeah.
right here.
Right. And I
For
understand. what-
ourselves. I'm not trying to be greedy, because
Yeah.
I'm all about giving away and supporting the community, because the community supports us, but we gave away, what, $40,000 to
That could have
outside?
been our school fees.
Yeah,
And that could've-
I'm glad you brought that up.
Well, the
Care.
schools didn't give all of that away.
I know, they gave a percentage.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Not all of it.
But,
That's
I mean,
not
even that
40,000, and
percentage
you're
could have
talking
covered
about
this.
half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not
Hey, and
trying
that's
to be
another thing that I
sarcastic
speak
either.
of. That's part of our community
Yeah.
that we
And people-
gain, yes.
People showed up
And we
were
don't have
so
fees in
generous.
elementary. Amen.
And for just 14,000, I mean, the way our community is so generous
Right.
that I see every day, and I know y'all do
Mm-hmm.
too, 14,000 could be covered like that with something.
Yes, instead of having these kids go home and be like, Mom, I need another $10.
Yeah.
Dad, I need more money.
Yeah.
You
Or
know,
even more than that, because multiple class fees,
yes.
multiple kids, multiple class fees really adds up for everybody.
And I understand why they asked for it. I'm not trying
Oh, I do
to
too.
be ugly at all.
Yeah.
I get it, but I want us to find a way to pay for this because we pay for everything else. And I feel like parents would appreciate another, something like Lemonade Day
Yeah.
versus this.
I mean, we've had such a great response from the free breakfast and free lunch
Yeah.
that you guys
Well,
put
I
together.
understand what Jennifer's saying, because both of us are parents, and we can afford to pay it, but I'm gonna say I can't afford it.
Right.
So I get
And
mine
nobody,
paid,
nobody
and
would
he pays
challenge
his.
that, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no guideline, you might say.
But that was a good point though, Holly, because we have a family member that owns a business that had this in front of their, and they asked the same question, was, why are y'all giving the money away? And I couldn't answer that.
I mean, charity.
I think it's
goodwill.
a good model.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
I think
what-
you're modeling, it's not always about
It-
me.
it
I think it's
teaches.
about having a servant's heart. I think it's about showing others, out of the
And I think
kindness.
that's what the Lemonade Day was developed for, that purpose.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Right,
the
and
children.
percentage was given away.
Right.
But a lot of people don't understand how that works, and they don't, all they see is that we're asking for money all the time, and then we turn around giving it away, and it's like, well, you're on the school board. Well, there goes that school board thing again. So
I do know the kids were excited to give it away. It
Exactly.
did teach them
Yep.
about being humble and giving
Yep.
back, so I understand it. I just wonder
Right.
if there's a way that we can cover this for the kids.
Well, and if you did use something like that, I mean, it's not that, you're not giving away, you're giving to the school,
Yeah.
the classroom fees.
Right.
That's worth something too.
I don't know. I feel like I'm arguing with you, and I don't want to argue with you.
Oh,
So
it's
don't
okay.
take it
instead
that
of-
way.
So instead of us budgeting 80,000, we would budget 94,000. Is that correct? To
Well,
cover- And you cover it all.
When a principal goes to a science teacher, chemistry class, how much for this, and this is, they add that up and then they take the total amount of students and
And
that's
if
where
they've
that
gotta have it,
80,000 comes from.
they've got to have it.
Right.
I'm not telling teachers, I'm not saying don't ask for stuff. Ask for stuff.
One thing that we don't wanna do is for teachers, to get less for supplies.
Yeah.
I think we would only want that to go up, and I know collecting these fees is part of trying to do that. So when I say I'm not for collecting student fees, that doesn't mean, and I think you're in the same boat I am, that doesn't mean that I want the classrooms to have less.
No.
I want the opposite. I'd love to see them have more. But I just wonder if there's a better way about going about it than asking the parents, asking the families.
So what y'all are saying is add $14,000 to that.
Yeah.
and Cover it
Yeah.
all.
Because that's all they're collecting right
So
now
that's something we
anyway.
have, right.
Because when it
And you
comes
might
down
could
to
get more than
it,
14.
yeah, since we're having to pay for it anyways, I mean, let's not take advantage of the ones that are willing and able to pay their part.
And if families in the community knew that something like that was going towards student fees, you might even have a better turnout.
And I'm sure it's awkward as a teacher collecting this and asking for it and seeing who brought it and who didn't. Like, that's not a
And
position I
knowing
want them to
that
be in
that one
either.
brought it in and you know they
Yeah,
probably were not in a position.
and then having to ask them for it. I feel bad for the teachers. They're not supposed to be,
And then in turn, knowing that that could bring it in, and they could,
And they could,
yeah.
yeah.
and it's never gonna be.
It just seems like an awkward thing.
The endless cycle.
Okay, so that's something that will have to be determined.
Yes, ma'am.
One way or the
Before we start school.
But you did a great job, and I like that
Yeah,
it was
this-
purple.
Yeah, you made that really easy.
This is very, very.
Large
not-
print.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Numbers,
Okay,
a
well,
few numbers, not a lot of numbers.
I did there is one typo in there, I just called it.
Oh, I didn't
Mickey.
even
Well, it's
see
very
it.
good
Didn't find
information,
it.
and I
It's in the
think
book.
everybody appreciates it. Okay, the next thing is, assistant dance coach, and I thank you for hanging in here with us.
Miss Sherry, if you'll come sit right in between, or sit up there by Miss Frida, you can sit between Miss Peacock Hodge or myself, or,
Or you can sit
Wherever
between me
you-
and
we'll
Chris,
just
it's
get
a
you a
lot better, get
microphone.
closer too. I can sit right
this
there.
is Sherry Burnett, she's our dance coach.
Hey, guys. So I feel like I at the wrong place in the agenda because I'm here to ask for some money, so.
Imagine how that happened.
Right? So thank you guys for hearing me out today. I also have some very passionate parents that I feel like you all have probably also all heard from because they are very, they want the best for their kids, like everybody does. We have a dance program here in Coffee County. It's been growing over the past few years. This is my third year as head coach of it. I'm really thankful for the support that I get from Coffee County, from Mr. Parsley, from Mr. Hargrove, and all of you guys. But we do not have a district-funded assistant coach. I feel like any extracurricular activity needs to have two adults, involved. Varsity, who pretty much rules the cheer and dance spirit world, says if you have 10 or more athletes and you're going to a camp or a competition, you have to have two adults. I have 10. I took 12 to camp last year, had 15 on the sidelines of football season last year. I only have 10 this year, but that still falls in that 10 or more. We do have an assistant coach. Our booster club pays her. So that means all the money that all of my little dancers are going out fundraising their little legs off, right, for all the time. A lot of it is not going to things that support them, although my assistant coach is amazing and she does support them every single day. But we spend $2,000 a year of the money that we fundraise to pay her. And I think she would do it for free, but it's a lot of time. We're a year-round sport. We've got 3 weeks, we've had 4 weeks off over the summer. 2 of them are dead period. We've been to camp at Tech. She works at a day school in Murfreesboro. Took a week of her vacation to go with us to camp last week. I'm super grateful. Varsity said she had to, but I would not want to be there by myself with those girls. It's a lot. So I'm here to ask you all to consider a minimum of $2,000 a year to pay for assistant dance coach. We have in the past paid her $1,000 at the end of football season and $1,000 in February, which is usually the end of basketball season. We paid her a couple weeks early this year because we did go to a competition in Orlando, and we paid her before we went because, we were going to be in Orlando.
Right.
And so that's just what I'm asking you guys, and I would be happy to answer any questions you have about our program, about what we do, about what she does. I would be happy to do that. Any questions?
I think it's crazy that you don't have an assistant dance coach. Just,
Do.
that seems, I'm surprised by that.
If I don't have an assistant coach, I would cancel practice or whatever we
But
have
you're
going
saying
on.
you have one, it's just paid.
We just pay through our booster club. And so she is there, and there are times when I haven't been there, and she has taken over. Last year at a basketball game, my mom, who lives by herself, bless her soul, she thinks she can do everything. She forgets sometimes she's 74 years old and she can't do everything on her own. Fell at work. They took her to the ER. I live in McMinnville as well. They took her to the ER by ambulance. We had a basketball game that night. I left. My booster parents worked the concession stand because we were supposed to do that night as well. And she was with my girls when they performed. So had that not happened, there would have not been a responsible adult there, like if we didn't pay her to work that out. So
How long have we had a dance team?
like I said, this is my 3rd year. I think there has been a dance team on and off since 2005.
Do you know if there's ever been an assistant?
I don't think, there's never been a district paid assistant. I do know the coach before me had an assistant. I'm not 100% sure if she was paid or not, or if she just was a volunteer. I can't answer that. I can find out though if you need me to.
Do we have any other teams that are funding an assistant coach for booster? Is she the only
I think track,
program, track,
I
pays
think.
their assistant coach for the
Tennis.
booster?
but I can't.
Okay. I was
And
just
then
curious.
obviously the other coaches take out of their own supplement
Yes.
in pay.
Like I know golf, he gets a supplement and he takes from his supplement to have an assistant coach.
Right.
What about
Um,
cheerleading? Is there assistant cheerleading coach?
Yes.
2 or 3 assistants. At
Who
least 2.
pays for them?
Does Christie divide her?
I think she
supplement?
She
divides
divides her
hers as well.
supplement and gives to the other coaches.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
And we have several sports that have a non-faculty coach, like have a coach that's paid from their booster.
Like, at one point, I think girls' basketball did that for like one coach. I don't know if that's still the case or if that changed.
We have several programs that pay for additional coaches out of their booster club.
What sports are that pay for their assistant out of the booster?
So cross country, he pays for out of booster. I'm just gonna look at, our minor sports. 'Cause,
Okay, yes.
Soccer pays for a coach out of booster. Golf pays, golf is funded because he splits. Volleyball pays for a coach out of Booster.
Are all of them about the same supplement, 2,000 or similar?
So it varies, just depending on what the booster clubs decide.
Oh,
So, like,
okay.
Yeah. Um,
And I
tennis.
would- oh,
I'd probably say, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Coach,
Yeah.
but I'd say y'all do a ton of fundraising for the events
We do.
that our girls are able to participate
We do.
and excel in.
My parents, my team is great, and I can tell you right now, they've probably all got 17 different ideas trying to go on about fundraisers. Because you try to think of something original, because we can't do something that another team does, and so we try to do original things, and I feel like I'm always asking people for money, and I do feel like the people of Coffee County support us so much. I mean, I'm sure, like you all have said about, the Lemonade Day and everything you were just talking about, the community of Manchester is amazing to us, but like, we also are not a traditional sport. We don't show up every Friday night or 2 or 3 times a week to compete, right? We go to 3 competitions a year, and we have to pay for those. And they're not close, so we have travel expenses with those. And last year, we were fortunate enough to be able to pay all of those expenses, even when we went to Orlando through our fundraising for all of our girls. But like you said, right now, you also have budget, right? Like, everybody's feeling it. I felt it when I got gas right before I came here today. And so that's just, I'm just thinking about, $2,000 trying to go back, just right back into those girls for those competitions, the equipment we need, uniforms, guys. I'm sure Holly knows because cheer uniforms are expensive too. She has a- But like dance uniforms we got a new dress last year. It was $250 for one. And so that's just why, like, we want to provide the very best opportunities for our athletes that some of these other programs have.
How many teams do we have that we're sponsoring or we're paying for assistant coaches?
So basically, it doesn't really specify that way. So every sport is assigned a percentage. So like, let's just say cross-country, he gets 6.25%. And he can split that how many ever ways he wants to. So if he wants to take 5% of that and give 1.25% of that to an assistant coach, he can do that. We don't specify their district position, like, we're not saying like, we don't say that cross-country has to have 2 coaches. We give the supplement, and then the supplements are divvied out with the athletic directors. They sit down with these, athletic directors sit down with the principal and the head coaches, and they decide on how those percentages are divvied out. So we don't specify, okay, cross-country's gonna have 2 coaches. We specify how much percentage goes to cross-country. And that's all the way down for every sport.
So the head coach and the AD is involved, or just the head coach decides?
Head coach, AD, it gets together, and the principal, Mr. Crossley, if you wanna come up and talk? Great, he's more aware of how that process, we just get the percentages and who gets them at the end of the
Basically,
day.
what you're saying, when we pass a budget with percentages to each of these
Sports, yes, ma'am.
sports. And then it's up to the athletic director and the principal to determine how that's divvied out.
That's my understanding of how it works. We just we get the percentages, and we take those percentages and apply those to their salaries.
Who makes the
So-
percentages though?
Those were passed by the board at some point in time.
What are the percentages for the dance?
So
6.25%.
The same as,
every minor sport gets the 6.25%.
so the other sports, they're dividing their,
Either
So-
boosters are paying for the assistant coach,
or they're
or
dividing.
they're taking out of their
Okay.
supplement to pay their assistant.
Does the tennis have an assistant coach that we're paying?
So if he's paid by, I think, Booster, if there is, I don't think there is one anymore. There was, but I don't
There's not
think.
currently a tennis assistant coach. No,
Is there a
there's not.
swim assistant?
Swim does, I think, all by herself.
I believe she's all alone.
Yeah, so-
I'd have to double check.
Yeah.
Middle school cheer, the last I knew, there's no assistant.
Right, so she doesn't have an assistant, and she gets football stipend and a
Yeah.
basketball stipend.
Yeah.
what our high school cheer does, gets as well. And then they split all that out. Mhm.
With respect to the supplement for a sport being divided up, you know, an example might be, let's say, and I'll just make up a sport, let's say our tennis coach, and I believe the percentage for tennis is 6.25, you may have it right
That's
there.
correct.
Let's say the tennis coach decides, you know, I really would like some help. It's difficult. I know someone who will provide good assistance, good training for these kids, is able to be here. I feel like this person needs to get paid something. What would typically happen is the tennis coach would come to the AD, I would be involved as well, and there would be a conversation about, okay, what might be fair to give to this person out of my supplement, the head coach's supplement, you might say. We have not gone to any head coach and said, you're going to give part of your supplement to someone else.
Kind of let them dictate.
We have let them dictate it, and we have agreed to that because it's sensible.
And if it's
They're
working.
willing,
Yeah.
they're willing, they want the help.
Right.
If I could share just 2 or 3 things that I think are pertinent to this situation. One, we do have, I believe it's 2, it could be 3 other sports that have a similar supplement. However, I will say that dance goes, for all intents and purposes, all year long. Not literally, but it does.
Thank you for that.
So, the dance team is at every football game. The dance team is at home basketball games. If the gyms were bigger and the courts were bigger and there was a place for the dancers to stand at away basketball games, I bet they'd be there.
Most of the time,
That
if we
doesn't
went to
happen.
away basketball games, they wouldn't let us perform their
Right.
halftime because their teams are performing halftime, so that's why we don't, as a team, travel to away games.
But you're
Really
still
That's-
Yes.
going through that basketball
They're
season.
at the home,
Yes.
oh, they're at the
Yes.
home, and so
Oh, yeah,
that
they're
means
good.
they're
People look
practicing
forward
that
to it.
whole
Yeah.
season.
Right, because you're doing every home game.
And then, as she said, I think it was 3 competitions this year.
We did.
They are traveling for those, they're expensive. Of course, the boosters are fundraising there, but it is a time dedication on the part of the coach. You know, in my opinion, the supplement for dance needs to be increased. And Ms. Burnett has not said this, and I've had many conversations with her about this. The ADs have had many conversations. We've had conversations together. She has not asked and has not suggested it, but I believe the percentage that she gets should be increased.
That's what I was gonna say. That-
Now,
and then-
now, in addition to that, though, I mean, we need to be able to pay some help, which would be the assistant coach. And I say all this again because I know how long this season goes, and I see them at school during the summer practicing. I see them, if I'm in the building during fall break or during Christmas break, they're liable to be there practicing. We have another sport or 2 that tend to go about the same length. And you know, and those people are earning their money. They're earning their money. But I feel like we need to take steps. It would be in our best interest to take steps to get it up to an equal level.
Those sports that you're talking about that are going almost year-round, at least 10 months probably, maybe, are those supplements comparable to the 6?
I guess that,
Do
the
they
one
have
that
a little more
that
wiggle?
comes to mind mainly, and again, these people are earning their money.
Oh, yeah,
Cheer is similar.
yes.
I think of cheer in a similar way. They've got a basketball season, they've got a football season, and they've got competitions as well. And there are, I believe it's 3 8% supplements. You could correct me. I believe that's correct. And I I get, again, those people earn their money.
So that's
they-
24%.
Right, but I agree with you that
Yes.
if this supplement was raised, that would maybe give her some room to get some help, and if she wanted to do that and divide a little bit of that supplement out to
Right.
get that extra help, because it goes year-round.
When we do that, and we can do anything you all decide to do, you're gonna have to look at other sports. And you're gonna get into middle school, is gonna come into the fray, and we can have a lot of things, but we can't have everything.
Yep.
That's a good point.
And it's gonna come at a cost. My feeling is budget-wise, I may be wrong, but we can have a lot of things, but we can't have everything. Do we need to look at our middle schools as well? Because, no disrespect,
no,
when we look at
absolutely.
expanding, you're looking at expanding a total athletic program that's, our supplements aren't anything to brush off. But we need to be mindful of that. This is just one area of it. Does a great job. Our kids excelled, had an awesome season last season. But when we do that, hey, we're looking at the big picture with everybody.
Are you saying like other programs?
Oh,
Say,
yeah,
where
our
mine-
middle school, we're.
Yeah, I mean, we don't even
you're-
have a
you're
dance
gonna-
program at middle school.
Yes, and
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
And there.
And we can do that if y'all decide. We sure can.
We can make a timeline of who's been waiting the longest and
Well, most
Check
of
it
them are
off
pretty
as we
well
go.
leveled off. That was in place when you landed, right, Miss?
Yeah, so we looked at, a couple of years ago, we looked at all the supplements across the district and compared to people around us. Because a lot of the districts do flat supplements, we do ours is percentage based, so every time we get a raise, guess what? Our coaches get a raise, where if you're a flat supplement, you don't get that increase. And so, we're in really good shape.
Oh,
Like,
our
as far as-
supplements are generous.
Well, the
Yeah,
only
it's
folks that don't
compared to
get
the ones
raises
around
are
us.
25 years and above because they don't move up on the pay scale.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
with a raise, they do move up.
Yes. I mean, if you look at other districts around us, and I'm not saying that you guys don't earn your money, 'cause like Mr. Parsons said, y'all do, but when you look at the districts around us, our coaching supplements are something to be proud of, for sure.
And also say, we would have to be very careful with Title IX.
Title IX issue.
Because with dance being just a female,
Oh.
There was a
Sport.
male dancer 3 years ago, the year before, I
That's
think,
right.
so it's not just a female sport.
I understand that, but we would still have to look at Title
Title
IX,
IX,
Title
the
IX,
minor.
make sure we're not violating anything as far as that.
But it's open to both
Yes, it
genders.
is.
That would be the main thing, that it's
Yes.
open, whether or
Yes.
not they want to participate or not.
Thank you, Mr. Parsley.
Well, that, we've got food for thought, so
Yeah.
thank you so much, and
Thank you
And,
for listening to me today.
I love
and-
watching those
Thank you,
girls.
Sheriff,
and-
coming.
And you're
so
good,
much.
it's a good PR for the,
Thank
I've
you.
looked at other school systems in the past, and I'd see those dance teams, and they were so neat, and, I'm thinking of Tullahoma
Energetic.
City, and for years, they had such a good one, and they probably still do.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening to me. I appreciate
We
it.
will.
Thank you for
Thank you for the
guys
job you
can-
do with the girls.
Well,
Hey,
thank you
last
so
year was
much.
awesome, ended up on a great note.
It did end up on a great note.
That's good stuff.
And we'll certainly consider what you said.
Okay. Like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, email, whatever you want to do. And I'll-
And keep emailing us, too.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, thank
Stay
you.
on us.
Okay, the next is the Manchester Youth Football Storage Building.
Yes, ma'am. This will be on July's agenda. All they're requesting is the use of placing a storage building in Carden Gerald. We will determine where that place is. Because if they end up having to haul their stuff in and out every weekend.
I think we've talked about that before, haven't we?
Yes, ma'am. And we can vote yea or nay in July, but it's just good community.
Right, right.
Community relations.
Yeah, very much so. And our school system would determine what's best.
Right. Well, there's not gonna be many of us left here.
Good land. Probably need to take a break. Can we,
Yeah, I forgot about that. I'm sorry.
No, that's
Oh, we just
okay.
got two
No,
more things.
hang on, let's go and
Sick
get it over
personal
with.
days for certified
Do
and
you know
classified
what
employees.
size
No, but I can
building?
find that out and place that in July's meeting, size of the building.
Gonna be a big,
Yeah, is it gonna be a 30-foot by 14-foot
yeah.
building, or is it gonna be a,
When I think
you know, a
stuff,
little-
I'm thinking cones and yardsticks
Right.
and, but we need to verify that. Yeah,
Yeah.
cause you could get
Yeah.
in.
are they wanting to store all their equipment? Because that's
Yeah,
a
you
whole
get the
lot of
shoulder
equipment.
pads
Might be
and
a-
hats.
Yeah,
since Mr. Coon would, he did that at one time, so he's pretty,
Yeah.
pretty knowledgeable on that, so.
yeah, it's a
that
lot of
Might be a vital
material.
piece of information there.
Yeah.
Okay, that, all questions about that? Okay, the next is the sick personal days for certified and classified employees. That'd be Mr. Cargrogan.
All right, there has been a new law passed, and it gives us flexibility, on days off and how we code them for our personnel, our teachers, our certified people. And I'm gonna let April speak, because I don't wanna muddy the waters on what that looks like.
So the law addresses our certified employees, and that doesn't address anything to do with our hourly classified employees. So let me start with that. Currently, if you look at the top left column, this is what we currently do. So like a 10-month employee would get 2 personal days and 10 sick days. 11-month, we get 2 personal days and 11 sick days. And then a 12-month employee would get 2 personal and 12 sick for our certified employees. The new law is going to change, it specifies that they will earn 4 personal days and 8 sick days for a 10-month employee. And really, that's all and then it said it will follow the service period past that. So I went ahead and drew it out for you. So 11-month employee would get 4 personal days, 9 sick days, 4 personal days, 10 sick days for our 12-month employee. So really, the number hasn't increased. It's just changed the way they've classified the personal and the sick days. So it changes the way we earn it on the payroll side. So it's very important to talk about our classified people. The law doesn't address the hourly employees. They still get, if you look down, they get, a 10-month employee currently gets 1 personal day and 10 sick days. 11-month, 1 personal day, 11 sick days. 12-month, 1 personal day, 12 sick days. And then if you're a 192-day employee, which is like most of our cafeteria staff, they get 1 personal day and 9.5 sick days. So Mr. Hargrove and I talked about, do we want to make our classified employees whole with what we currently do, what we're going to have to do with our certified employees? Right now, if we did not, it would stay the same, and they would basically use it would stay the exact same. They would still have the same number of days. They just wouldn't have the same flexibility as our certified employees would to use their personal versus sick days. So if the board chose to make it similar to what we've had in the past, the proposed column down on the far right side would be what it would look like for our classified employees.
So basically, what you're proposing is that the classified employees would be given the same
As everybody.
opportunities as far as personal day use. and
Yes,
that.
ma'am.
You're not giving them any more, any less.
No,
It's
ma'am.
just
We would-
changing. Understand.
And the flexibility makes
Right,
sense. I
'cause-
mean,
Sometimes you need more.
yes, ma'am.
One personal day.
Yes, ma'am. And sometimes you're gonna need more sick days,
Right.
unfortunately. It just gives us the flexibility to do that. I think this was a good law.
Well, let me ask you this. I know at one time, if you used up all your sick days, you could take, if you were sick, I guess you could, personal would still be sick days, couldn't it?
So yeah, so if you could use your personal days for sick.
Or sick anyway, so, okay.
And if you don't use them,
They accumulate.
they roll to sick
Okay.
at the end of the year. So that is a little hiccup we're gonna have to figure out, because right now, I think the law says you can only roll 2 personal days to sick. So we
Oh.
may have a person who won't use their 4 personal days, and they will expect those to roll, but they
Oh.
won't, so they may lose them.
Right, so.
So there's a few hiccups that we'll have to work out.
And so that's gonna make them use those 2 days.
Yes, ma'am.
So you're gonna be paying for substitutes.
More subs, yes,
Right.
ma'am. And then also,
That wasn't well thought through.
Right, it wasn't.
In Nashville, yes.
also, like the way we currently figure, so like a 10-month employee, they earn 1 sick day a month based on their service period. If you look over, the new law says 8 sick days, so we'll have to reconfigure on how, days are earned. So they may earn all of their days by March, and then, we may get an issue where, like, if they use all of their days up and then they leave us early,
Oh,
then
yeah,
they wouldn't have earned all their days.
exactly.
And so there's a few little hiccups with this law that probably no one thought about on our, our side, but, we're working with a couple other districts to try to figure out what they're gonna do
Right.
and, try to follow.
So
suit.
it's mandated for,
Certified.
certified employees, not for classified, but we can do that if we choose.
That's correct.
And I would say they would prefer that, have another.
I think,
personal day.
as y'all know, I'm an advocate for our classified people, and they're not any different, they don't need any more sick days than our certified does. So let's make it across the board the same for everybody.
I think it's very, very, I think it shows a good faith effort
I
that
think-
we're
I don't think
valuing
there's-
those
yeah.
folks like we do.
And that was our first thought when we saw this, is what do we do for, we wanna change this for our hourly
Classified
employees as well.
employees.
Right.
Yeah, they got, yeah.
So that makes sense. So I think we
with
understand what
that?
you're saying.
So I think
Okay with that?
we'll need this on the agenda for July, so we can go ahead and start loading these, days.
So
for
this will be an
employees.
agenda item for next meeting. Okay, well, thank you. All right, the very last thing on is flag football.
Way back, and I'm not sure I was the one even got this on here. Was it you?
Yeah, I went and talked to, my boss, about 7 months ago, I guess, when I first brought this up. And, went in his office and sat down, we pulled up the TSSAA, website and pulled up the amount of girls flag football in the state of Tennessee, and Knoxville, Chattanooga, Nashville, Tri-Cities area was nothing but red of every school that had flag football. There was, I mean, it was just about every school in that area had flag football, and McMinnville had a flag football team, Van Buren County had a flag football team, and that's when I brought it up, and I think I brought it up to you.
You sure did.
And I had so many ladies, parents that come up to me and say, hey, look, Scott, hey, do you mind bringing this up? And then it did happen, and we went as a club, I think is what we did, and I reckon it was a tremendous success, you know, from what I understand, and everybody else.
From what I've heard, it was.
So,
The girls are really excited about it.
I think the
Yeah,
parents,
that-
I think some of the parents was more excited about it. So it was really, very thankful for getting to do that. And I'm all for making it a team, one of our teams instead of a club.
I think everything you said has been spot on, and, the one thing that jumps at me is the second year of the program, and listen, I'm conservative minded in this too. Before we take on the supplement, we have replaced our head coach, we have a new head coach, which the gentleman who's our, flag football coach was an assistant on last year, so he gets it, he's out there, the ladies, you know, they respond well to him. And our assistant, Ms. Deanna, same thing, we're good there. I do know that sometimes between years and groups, there's a drop-off. We have an adjoining county to us that had a hard time fielding the team. They jumped into it, and they had a hard time fielding a team. Our numbers, you know, there was like a
40
100.
something.
We had a ton, but when you whittle it down, the bottom line is we end up playing with 20-something girls, low 20s. And that's a good number, and I can live with that number. I really can. And you all, I'm very respectful. If we want to make it a TSSAA sport, fine, but I just wanted to make sure it sticks. Remember, my recommendation was 2 years as a club sport, and then let's see where we're at, and then that third year we could jump. But I mean, there are a ton of people excited about it, and buddy, this is fun. It's fun to watch them. They do a great job.
Budgetary numbers, what are you looking at?
You're looking at another supplement or two, and we'd have
But,
to
well, I
figure
mean-
out where that's at. And that goes into Title IX as well, so there's some figuring to do. The good thing about it is we don't have to declare, right now, right this minute. We don't have to declare in July. We've got some time because it is a spring sport. The process of being accepted in the TSSAA is pretty harmless. It's not bad. And,
Happen tomorrow.
and we can we can accordingly.
Are there any other club sports that's past the 2 years that have requested to
You have
be?
the Clay Busters, but I
But
understand there's
that's not,
some.
they don't, that's not a TSSAA sport.
No, ma'am, it's not. And you have kids, I think we have participants that are not Coffee County kids on that
Right,
as well.
right. That's
But
just
it-
more of a club, for
But
sure.
like I said, if you all wanna do that, then let's talk about it in the next month or two, and
Okay. And I'm sure the coaches would like that to be done. Is that correct? Or does it matter?
I think it's his understanding that it would be a club sport, but I don't see why he would think differently if it weren't. I mean, he's still coaching the same amount of time
Right,
with the.
everything's still the same. It just-
I think the one thing that would be advantageous for us to do it earlier, and what I mean earlier is the fall is setting the schedule.
Well, who pays the salary now of the coach?
Booster Club, if they have
That's what they're
one.
having to pay their own.
You know,
If
I-
they
I
have one.
think the girls would be able to, if we went ahead and done it now, we would be able to get on a schedule and they would be able to have something to play for, playoffs, so on, that forth. So that's a thing that the girls, I think, the reason I think that we ought to go on and make it a team sport, because we do have such a good turnout, is that they would be able to play for, championship, state tournaments, playoffs and things like that.
When do they have the tryouts or whatever? When
It's
will
a
they
spring
know?
sport.
So they won't know who
Nothing.
wants to play until then?
Right. But the earlier we decide on
Right.
whatever it is, the quicker we can get a
Right.
schedule built. You get plans in place, you can put
Right.
out an interest survey and all those things. You know, one thing we may wanna do is do it just like we did last year. Let's do another survey and kinda amp up the timeline on that. So by
And just-
getting into late fall, we already have a number. And plus, coach knows the
The ones that-
20-something, the ladies that were left
The
playing.
seniors that moved on, how many's left that's gonna,
But the big difference is if we do declare TSSAA sanctioned sport, we're looking at an added supplement or two. And the other thing is you're looking at our girls being able to participate in the playoffs. Mr. Hanson referred to that, so that's just food for thought as well.
And I think that's one of the biggest things that the parents that I've talked to is that they they're enthusiastic. They had a really good season. They get that opportunity to get into the playoffs and, that might be the thing that we would do the first year is not pay a assistant like, we would hate to have her to come here and ask for an assistant and we didn't give her one and maybe the first year not have an assistant or not pay an assistant, but, we'd have to have a supplement for the head coach, but not have one for the assistant. The first year or two, that might save us some.
So that's food for thought as we move on into this. So
Hey, well, that,
slideshow, good, bad, doesn't make a difference. You're not hurting my feelings.
I liked
good,
it.
Okay.
Good, and it was really very well thought out and organized, so appreciate it.
Well, Miss Reedy would be very proud of my typing skills today. I did have one typo there, and it had a
All right,
directional
that's good.
arrow instead of a.
I know I wasn't gone that long. Did we talk about the Manchester Youth Football
Yeah.
Storage Building?
Yes.
We heard
I
before you
know
came
I was
back.
not gone
Yeah.
very long.
No, this will be on July's meeting, and we talked about, how much they were paying us to rent that spot.
Okay.
No, they're not renting a spot. We talked about their request to use, an area at Cardin Gerald to store their football
Oh,
equipment.
that makes
Because they
sense.
tote back and forth. Our only condition was that we control where it is placed, but we understand, we want to be a good compute, you know, those are our
'Cause
future.
there's a bunch of those kids.
Yes, ma'am.
That's something we'll be.
Yes.
Okay.
And then Mr. Coon brought up what all's going in the shed and the size of the shed.
How big of a shed, you
And
know?
there you go.
Are we
I'm
talking
telling
about
you,
a?
I was going
He
too
got
many.
into shoulder pads and thigh pads and,
That was quick.
Yeah, we're talking about a 40 by 40 shed, or are we talking about a 8 by 10 shed?
yes.
Well, do any of the board members left have anything else that you want to bring up? Not, we'll adjourn.
Very educational day.
Thank y'all for staying. And, I
Nothing but
guess
the
we'll-
best.